Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Arlington Redevelopment Board meeting. This evening is January 12th, 2026, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. My name is Rachel Zemberry. I am the chair of the Redevelopment Board. Could the other members of the board please introduce themselves?
Steve Revelak.
Eugene Benson.
Ken Lau.
And Shayna Corman-Houston is unfortunately unable to join us this evening. We do have joining us tonight the Director of the Department of Planning and Community Development, Claire Ricker.
Thank you.
All right, let's move right into our first agenda item, which is the organizational meeting, which is the election of the chairperson and vice chairperson. Shayna is not here this evening. We could certainly move forward with that, or if the board would prefer, we could defer that to January. I am fine either way that we decide to go. Steve, your thoughts?
I'm fine either way. I don't.
Jean?
I mean, technically, we should do it tonight, but I don't
Let's
care.
go ahead and do it tonight, if that's good with you, Ken?
I am fine either way. I have no rush to do it.
Okay.
No way.
All right, well, why don't we go ahead and have our organizational meeting. I think the first, what's that, Jean?
I was talking to Steve.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the first order of business is to elect a chair. Is there a nomination for the chair?
I nominate Ken Lau.
I would like to second that nomination.
I accept.
Fantastic. Any other nominations for chair? Fantastic. I appreciate your willingness to take on the role, and I've appreciated the support of the board over my period
So
as,
now we have
as
to
chair.
vote. We have to vote.
So now we do have to vote.
And may I just say that we have appreciated your leadership, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. You've
Absolutely.
been terrific in the job.
Thank you very much. Is there a, so we seconded, so let's go ahead and take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Ken?
Do I vote myself?
Yes.
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 And I am a yes as well. Congratulations, Ken.
Thank you.
So I will hand over the gavel at the end of the meeting and really look forward to your chairing of the board.
If I can do half as well as you did, I'm be doing well.
Very nice, thank you. Is there a nomination for vice chairperson?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Steve.
I'll accept.
I second.
All right, we will take any other nominations. All right, we will take a vote, starting with Ken,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Congratulations, Steve. Looking forward to having you in the role of vice chair of the committee, of the board. All right, so that concludes our organizational meeting. We will now move to agenda item number 2, which is a review of the meeting minutes. So the meeting minutes that we have to review this evening are from December 15th, 2025. Are there any additions or corrections, starting with Ken?
Yes, on page 4, I just want to make it a little clearer. On the top of the page, there's a section saying, the section regarding the two-way traffic applies in this case, of a driveway, and it must be 24 feet wide. And then there seems to be, to me, a confusion between drive aisle and driveway. I want to make sure it's clear that when we talked about it and voted on it, was that a drive aisle, which means the space between two park spaces, or parking spaces, is what we're talking about reducing, not the drive lane getting to the parking lot. Okay, so that has separate dimensional requirement. So I just want to make sure it's clear. It's kind of, to me, a little fuzzy on the notes there, on which way we're going.
All right.
So if we can just clarify that.
Anything else, Ken?
No. I think Claire was going to say something.
Yes, on,
Director Ricker?
yes, thank you. On page 12, there is a note about a project, the project at 882 Mass Ave. I believe it's on page,
Yes, it is. At the bottom.
at the bottom. That's right. Outstanding issues regarding 882 to 892 Mass Ave. I stated that I was going to write a memo to the board that would share the information about materials that had been submitted for this project. I got this project mixed up with the project at 190 Mass Ave. We do not have a materials board for 882. We will reach out to the applicant again to have them provide physical materials rather than just cut sheets of storefront and other items that you are looking for. But I think we should strike this from the minutes about the information about the memo and the receipt of the materials.
Thank you, and that is on page 9.
Excuse me,
I
page
believe.
9.
Nope, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that we caught that in the recording. Jean, do you have any additions or corrections?
I have one correction at the
Yep.
very top of the minutes where it says it started at 7:30 PM. It started at 7 PM.
Oh,
Thank you very much, Jean. Steve, any additions or corrections?
None, Madam Chair.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes as amended?
So motioned.
Second,
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve,
Yes.
Jean,
yes.
Ken,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Those meeting minutes have been approved as amended. All right. Let's now move to our third agenda item, which is a discussion of 1306 to 1308 Massachusetts Avenue. And this is a continue of the discussion that the board started in our meeting on December 15th. And I'll turn it over to Director Ricker.
great, thank you. We began this discussion last meeting regarding the plywood that had been installed at 1306 to 1308 Mass Ave. The board recommended that plywood be painted, but also requested that the owner of the owner of the property attend this meeting to explain when the storefront windows will be installed. And I believe the board was looking for a 60-day timeline for that to occur. Tonight with us, we have a representative from Farina who is available to answer any further questions or to further the discussion.
Great, thank you. Could I invite the representative from Farina Roofing to join us at the microphone over here, please? Yes, please, thank you.
I thought I was part of the member
Oh.
board.
That's okay.
Okay, good evening for everyone. So, could you please explain me what kind of description for the materials you're looking for? What are you gonna put it on? Because I have here on this plans, we got glasses for the windows, for the doors, front, exactly on the same place where the plywood are.
Yes, so the board's concern, if I can summarize from our last meeting, is that the project started construction, the existing windows were removed, and there has been plywood in the windows for some time, which is in violation of our storefront bylaws. So our question for you, and hope that it is soon, is when are you replacing those storefront windows and moving forward with the special permit that was granted?
Yeah, I spoke with the owner, and by the way, Reladio Salgado, the one who's pulled the permit for this company, and he told me very soon. We have a kind of a difficult financial situation with the new government, and we are not blaming him, by the way. So, but the thing is, another investment he did in another company to try to become bigger. So, but as soon as possible, maybe, yeah. You said 60 days. On the beginning, I heard something about 60 days.
That is the board's timeline, that we would like the owner to make every reasonable effort to meet But again, what we were hoping to understand this evening was a more concrete timeline, because it's a safety issue. It's it's an issue for Arlington Heights in terms of having that, not only that vacancy, but also the plywood at the storefront. So is there any more specificity that you can give to the timeline for when the storefront will be installed?
I would say about a couple of months, yeah, we'll have those windows installed, you know, especially all the entire front.
Okay. Ken, did you have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, you guys are a roofing company, right?
Yes,
And that's all you guys do?
no. We have, like I said before, we did, you know, the owner, he did another investment in a different company, like construction, demolition. And actually, I don't know, but usually we have the same registration on the Arlington City Hall for this kind of business. And yeah, we do other stuff.
The reason I ask, okay, is on the plywood board up, you have a plumbing company labeled right on the,
Oh, yes. It's my son-in-law. He did some work over there.
yeah, but you can't just put up signs.
Yeah, okay, we can remove. I didn't know that, so nobody told me about that, anything. I didn't realize that this is going to be a problem.
It is.
Okay, we can remove it tomorrow.
Okay, and right now, would you be interested in also putting a temporary light in the vestibule?
Okay.
You know how the entry comes in, it recesses in a little bit, if you put like an overhead light
know.
above there? At least so there's something there that keeps,
Okay.
you know, makes it look like it's a little bit active.
Right, okay.
And you say that within 60 days, 2 months, that you'll have the plywood down and the storefronts installed. Is that your
Can
guarantee?
you confirm 60 days for install the front windows and the door? He's the owner. He asked for the representative, he pushed me to come by.
90 days.
90 days?
Yeah,
Because I
okay.
have to make a special wall, you know, that's frame, special frame.
That's why I'm asking right now, because I know that storefront right now has a lead time, and if you haven't ordered the storefront yet, it takes time.
Yeah, special
So
one.
you're saying right now you have not ordered anything?
No, yeah.
Because at one time you guys did pull a building permit, and the building permit now is no longer valid. So are you going to reapply for a new permit? So my request is that you can, within the next 2 weeks, reapply for a permit and make sure the permit is granted
The bench one for the windows or for entire project again?
for the project. That we want the project to either say you're going on or you're not going on. So you,
That's spoke with the lodge.
I'm sorry, can I ask you to come to the side over here so that the microphone can also pick you up? Thank you. And we'll get you a second, oh, thank you so much, Sarah, I appreciate it. We'll get you a second chair.
Good evening, how are you?
Great. Could you just introduce yourself for the record?
Your name?
Your name, please.
My name is Ricardo Batista.
Thank you very much. So Ken, back to your questions.
okay. So let me start with the beginning, okay? Do you still plan to follow through with the plans that you got approved to fit out that space?
Yeah, the same plan.
Okay, so nothing's changed?
Nothing's changed.
Okay. And right now, you do not have a valid building permit on the
Yes,
project?
I think it expired.
It had expired, yes. So you will you would reapply for the same permit?
Yes, the same plan. Yes.
Okay. I'm asking you to do that within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we can do tomorrow.
This, I'm not trying to be unreasonable, sir, okay? So you'll get that within 2 weeks. You say you're gonna install per the approved drawings in the next 90 days.
Okay. Yes, let we check first, how long the lumber, the manufacturer come to us, and we can make a schedule for set up for the windows framing.
Can you
that's
send
their
that,
decision.
can you make that schedule and send it to the Community Development Department
Sure,
and inform them what that schedule will be,
okay,
okay? And then you will install a light in the vestibule?
yes. Okay, then.
Like, one that's centered on daylight, so it's not on 24/7.
Okay, then we can do tomorrow.
Within reason, I'm not asking you to do everything tomorrow, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
No, that's me.
Jean, any other questions?
So I just want to see if I understand. Are you going to have the windows installed within 90 days? Is that the guarantee?
No, and no guarantee for 90 days because we have to make a special order for the framing and the windows.
So we don't have a guaranteed date?
No 100%. Because we have to make a order tomorrow. See how long the manufacturer can deliver it for the material to us.
Right, so you will send something to the Department of Planning and Community
Yes.
Development with your time frame,
Yes.
and you'll do that by what date?
Next week's, a few weeks, 1 week, I think.
Within a week?
Oh, yes, for the
Okay.
plan.
Okay, that's good. Now, when we had the conversation about the light, we agreed he did not need to put a light in the vestibule. So we'll hear what my other colleagues have to say about that, but I don't think the light in the vestibule is necessary.
Outside the vestibule, not in the vestibule.
I understand, yeah.
Because the neighbors all the time, if they see the lights, they say, hey, come in and shut off the light, please.
So
I don't know if he,
I don't think the light is necessary. I think getting the windows in as soon as possible is necessary. That's it.
Thank you, Jean. Steve?
First, I'd like to thank you for being really responsive in painting it right away, or painting the plywood right away. I agree with Mr. Benson about the light. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean and Steve. I also agree. I think that the windows, let's get the windows taken care of, and as soon as the windows are taken care of, in that letter, we'd like to order the windows, give us the timeline, but we'd also like to understand when the full project is being completed. Again, that should not hold up the ordering of the windows. The ordering of the windows is the most important thing at this point
Okay.
for the
All right.
board.
thank you.
Okay? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, you too. Okay, the next agenda item is agenda item number 4, which is the reopening or the continuation of the public hearing for docket number 3862 for 126 Broadway, and I will turn it over to Director Ricker.
Great, thank you. On January 8th, I received a letter from the representative for the applicant asking that this application be withdrawn without prejudice. It is my understanding that the applicant intends to submit for a new project at some time in the future, but at least in terms of this iteration of 126 Broadway, they request that the application be withdrawn without prejudice.
Thank you very much. Ken, do you have any questions or comments?
None.
Jean?
None.
Steve?
None.
All right. Is there, I believe that the next step that we would need to do is to vote to close the public hearing for docket number 3862, or I would like to see if there is a motion to close the hearing for docket 3862 by accepting the withdrawal without prejudice for 126 Broadway.
So moved.
Second.
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. We will now close the docket for 3862, 126 Broadway. The next item on our agenda is agenda item number 5, which is a public hearing for docket number 3867, 9 to 11 Robbins Road. This is a continuation from our hearing on December 1st. Could I ask the applicant to please join us at microphone?
I'm not here yet.
7:30, so
Okay,
thank you, I apologize.
absolutely. So we will hold another couple of minutes. I think out of order, we will take new business, and I will see if, Claire, if there is any new business that you have for the board.
None at this time, thank you.
Okay. Steve, any new business?
2 items.
Okay.
First, if I may ask staff, how are things going in the search for a new transportation planner?
Thank you for asking. We had originally advertised the position earlier in the fall, and received several applications, went through a series of interviews, and elected a finalist who we could not come to terms with, unfortunately. I am working with the manager now. We are currently under a hiring freeze, but I am working with the manager about a timeline to repost the position. Obviously, this is a very important position to the department and to the town, but I am working with the town manager now about next steps and how we will proceed with re-advertising the position.
Okay, and item number 2 is a piece of news from Streets blog that I came across today. It's basically a little news site for transportation-related stuff, but apparently the MBTA contacted them and they are terminating their procurement process for the redevelopment of the Alewife Station garage. They're basically citing economic conditions and are not favorable to redevelopment at this time. So no word on what's going to happen, but that was a significant thing on the horizon that is no longer on the horizon. Thank you.
Thank you for the unfortunate news and update, Steve. Jean, any new business?
No new business.
Ken, any new business?
No new business.
Okay. So at this time, we will take a short recess until 7:30 p.m. when we will open the public hearing for docket number 3862. I would just need a motion. Thank you very much. I read the wrong number, 3867. So is there a motion for a short recess until 7:35 p.m. when we will reopen the public hearing for docket number 3867?
So motioned.
Second,
Steve?
Yes.
Jean?
yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes as well. So we will reconvene at 7:35. All right, let's go ahead and reconvene our meeting now that it is 7:35. For those of you just joining us, we did just close docket 3862 for 126 Broadway. The applicant has withdrawn their application. So for any of you who are joining us for that agenda item, note that we will not be discussing that further. That application has been withdrawn. We are now opening the public hearing for docket number 3867. Why do I? No, 3867.
3867.
Sorry, no,
It's
I was
okay.
wrong.
We'll get all these numbers right at some point tonight. Public hearing for docket number 3867, 9 to 11 Robbins Road. This is a site plan review hearing continued from December 1st, and I will turn it over to Director Ricker.
Great, thank you. In this project, the applicant proposes to demolish an existing two-family dwelling with a detached garage and construct 2 3-story residential buildings with 2 units each on the property located at 9 to 11 Robbins Road. Updated documents were provided by the applicant since the last hearing, including updated architectural plans and drawings, updated color renderings, landscape plan, a memorandum regarding the second driveway. There are also several issues for the applicant to address, which have been done so in the new drawings and the updated proposal, and which are listed here in the staff memo.
Thank you very much, Director Ricker. So I, at this time, would like to invite the applicants for 9 to 11 Robbins Road to join us at the microphone. And we can certainly provide more chairs if there are more than one applicant joining us.
I think we should be okay.
You should be okay? Fantastic, thank you. So if the applicants who will be speaking could please introduce yourselves. You'll have up to 8 minutes to address the board.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Mary Lynn Stanley O'Connor. I represent 911 Robbins Road LLC. With me is the manager, William Mahoney, the architect, Charlie Cochran, and the general contractor, Thomas Cucabaro. As Director Ricker said, we've updated the plans and provided the information you requested at the December 1st hearing. I would suggest that I have Mr. Cochran review what's been updated, if that's what the board would like at this point.
Yes, if there are any high-level items that you would like to point out from the revised application, we've certainly reviewed all of the materials that have been submitted to us, but if there's anything that you would like to highlight, we'd certainly welcome that.
All right, thank you. My name is Charles Cochran, Cornerstone Architect. Since the last meeting, we have updated the plans and the elevations. Based on the comments we received, we lowered the ceiling heights down to 8 foot in order to get better roof pitches on both structures. We also have widened some of the entryways to make it more pronounced on the street side. We have added details over the windows with new crosshead headers. We widened the corner boards. And we went from on the privacy decks, we now have a solid wall. One, maintains some privacy, but also that allowed us to take that band and wrap it around the building. They also helped cut the vertical height of the buildings down. Other than that, that's pretty much the changes that we have made.
We've also made 2 of the parking spaces compact car spaces, and we've given you an updated landscaping plan. And you have my memorandum on the issue of the 2 driveways and the rationale for that.
Great, thank you very much. And it looks as well as you have a sample board with you. If you can just walk us through what you have to share with us this evening.
Everything here is PVC plastic we use totally on the outside. We make our own corner boards, which they are 1x6 by 1x5 PVC, all the way up. Then we do what we call a water table at the bottom. It could be anywhere from a 1x8 to a 1x10. Then we take a 1x3, we put a 15-inch degree on it. They give it a little slant so the water goes off it. That band goes right around the whole house. Plus it gives it a detail instead of, coming down. We use a plastic windowsill, okay? And we use a square edge, whether it be a 1x4 or 1x5 square edge around the window, okay? This product here, it's like a hardy plank. It's just a different make. They seem to all be using it now because of the texture. Still for life, It's compositive. It's pretty basic on the outside what we do. 9 out of 10 times your gutters are black, your garage doors are black to go with everything else. Seems to be what people like. That's about it. I can answer any questions you want to know on the outside.
Great, thank you. I have a couple questions, but the first is regarding gutters. I don't see them illustrated on this this rendering. Will there be gutters in the building?
Yeah, the elevations, I believe, show the gutters and the downspouts. They didn't get in time for the renderer. But the gutters and downspouts, in my mind, will match the colors of the siding in order to basically fade away.
Okay, so they'll be
A grayish color.
They'll be the grayish color. Okay. All right. So let's start with Ken.
Okay. In, let's call it your building B.
One facing Higgins?
Yes, these are considered townhomes, right?
Yes, the basic duplex.
And so when I look at the elevation of the entry to building B, the one that faces the street, that's that scale entry, the entry there with the portico and everything else. Then I look around the side, the entry that's toward the parking area, that doesn't look like a front entry to me now, okay? And these are supposed to be equal houses, like townhomes. So I'm just wondering, would you be able to scale up
Oh, yes,
the one on the
the rear.
so just pump it up a little bit so it looks like the one on the front?
Sure,
Now, when I first look at it, now it looks like two townhomes,
yes.
It doesn't, because when I look at it this way now, it looks like one house with a back door. On the same building there, if you look at I think those are the bathrooms. There's two windows right in the middle of the building. There's no mullions there. Is that just a?
No, they should all have the dividers.
Just a glitch then, right? Just subtracting. So there will be mullions that are similar to above or below?
Correct.
Okay. When I look at, I think it's building A now, okay? On your elevations, on building A, where is it now? Okay, on the third floor, on the middle of the building, right above the entry, you got two windows and a dormer there, right? It's right in a closet. So you have two windows looking right into a closet and a dormer in a closet. Is there a reasoning
Well,
behind?
I think the dormer was put there for aesthetics. I mean, those windows can certainly be curtained off or closed up so no one can see in.
I know, but just
It's,
to me, you can save money and use the same level of articulation somewhere else, and maybe make the windows on either side of it bigger and make the room bigger and not have a window in the closet. That's all. I'm just. It's not a statement saying you do that. I'm not going to say yes.
yeah.
Okay. I'm just questioning the fact that it seems kind of odd to me. There's two windows in the closet and a big dormer for it. That looks to me like could be a nice bedroom, a study, and so forth.
Well, that's actually, the dividing wall is right down there between the two units, too.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. But I would ask you to look at that again. Okay, that's
Okay.
all. And then on the same building, on the rear elevation, you have 4 dormers there. Okay, and 4 windows. And I look at your floor plans. You only have 2 windows.
It could be just a drafting error. I mean, there should be a window, I believe, in each bathroom and and one in each closet.
Well, let's go to the 4th floor, or 3rd floor. Sorry. Okay. So you would have windows in the closet again. They just plan to show one thing and the elevation shows something else. Right here,
Oh, yeah, you read this, right.
so you're putting windows in closets again?
Well, again, it's just for aesthetic on the outside. I mean, it doesn't have to be windows there, but I just think it helps.
Well, I'll leave, that's facing not the street, it's facing inward, so,
It's facing the courtyard.
yeah, so it's not really, I'm just questioning it, okay, as an architect. That's
I get
all.
it.
I just see like, wow, it looks very symmetrical, it looks nice, but then you actually look at the function behind it. And, so those are my major stuff. I'm going to leave some of the other stuff for other board members to speak up, okay?
Great. Thank you, Ken. I just have one question for you. First of all, I really appreciate you taking the feedback about how to, and the questions about taking another look at this to meet more of the contextual surroundings of the neighborhood with the deepened roof pitch and some of the architectural trim around the exterior. I do have a question about the trim for the windows. So you have a flat panel shown, but it looks like you actually have a more ornate cap.
There is definitely an ornate crosshead over the window.
Okay.
to bring more detail to the
Okay, I
elevations.
wanted to confirm that
Yes.
based on the description we have this evening. Okay, with that for now, I will turn over to Jean.
Thank you. I just have a few questions. One has to do with the bicycle structure in the corner, which we discussed last time. And the rule is that can't be more than 80 square feet, which I think it shows now, but not more than 7 feet high, and it doesn't show the height. So what's the height?
Well,
Structure that
it's almost a little over 7 foot, because we're having a door opening, and of course, there's a pitched roof over it, so that's going to put it over that height. No?
No, yeah, flatten it, 7. Well, it's up to you whether you want the bike. You can do it with a 7-foot roof. But anyhow, that was one thing. What are the setbacks on each side now? Can you just confirm what they are?
Well, on the side, for Robbins on the right side, I go up there and look at that, I don't remember off the top of my head. This was the site. We have 14 foot on the Robbins side, and it's, I believe it's 21 feet on the back side.
Which setback, the front?
The front facing Robbins, the front facing Robbins.
Well, this side is 19.5 and a half
Okay.
off the Robbins side.
And how about on the Higgins Street side?
15.3, and we've got 15.5.
Okay, and, okay, thank you. It was a little unclear from the drawings. On the landscape plan, which shows some trees with some species, have you consulted with the town tree warden?
Yep.
And he's approved those species?
I don't want to tell you, I definitely have shown him, he hasn't seen this plan particularly, but has given some feedback, yes.
On the, he has,
Which we use, yeah.
yeah, he has to
I have a
approve.
list of that.
Okay, so he's approved them?
I haven't shown him this, so no, if you want me to have him look at the street trees, he told me what we need to use for those, but.
Oh, no, just the street trees.
Yeah.
So he's,
Yes, I'm sorry,
okay.
yes.
So
He
he's
sent
done
me a list
that.
of what we need to put there, yeah.
Okay. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jean. Steve?
Yes, one question. On Building B, the front porch facing Higgins Street, I'd like to know what the square footage of that outside of the setback is. If Claire, if you could bring sheet S 1.0 up. Yeah, I think that's it.
That is definitely.
Yeah, it's in the setback.
So because the setback line, this is your setback line.
Correct.
So it's, I know this chunk is 28 square feet, but since, I'm wondering if it's, the limit is 25, but with the line going, sort of diagonally through it, it's not clear how much of it
So
is
you know what that was?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that offhand, but.
What's allowed by code?
A porch can project into a minimum yard up to a distance of 3 feet 6 inches and 25 square feet. So this is,
He has 28 feet right now.
yeah.
So
Well, it's 28, the rectangular part is 28, but the setback doesn't follow the rectangle.
I see.
It cuts through it. So it's less than 28 feet, but my question is how much less?
Let's make it 25 and we'll be done.
I could make it 25.
We can make it 20, well, if.
I mean, we can adjust it so that there's definitely not more than 25 feet.
Okay, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll,
That's the
you will,
rear.
that is the
Yeah.
requirement, and I'm
Would
glad to
be,
hear you can
Higgins
accommodate it.
Okay.
Thank you. Nothing further, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, may I just make a couple of comments?
Yes, please.
Part, the driveway issue. It was done that way in part because the neighbors on Robbins Road didn't want massing the parking in one area. And because this is a corner lot, it seemed aesthetically better, and I've given you the rationale. Now, the people on Higgins, there's a house that does not have any parking, and they park 3 cars on the street, which is not permitted. So to the extent that the argument is there's a lot of parking on Higgins, that parking is not permitted. We do have 6 spaces, only 4 are required. My client would like to leave it at 6 spaces. He did make 2 of them compact.
Great, thank you for the summary, I appreciate that. So the board would need to, in our decision, make a finding that the second driveway is, I believe the word we would need to use is appropriate for the project.
Meets the requirements of 6.1.10A2.
All right. Anything else before we move to public comment? All right. So at this time, we will welcome any member of the public who has joined us this evening to address the board on the project of 9 to 11 Robbins Road. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand and I will call on you to address the board. Okay, please. So as you're coming up here, I'll let everyone know as you're addressing the board, we will take any questions, but this will not be a back and forth dialogue. We will not answer any questions as they're posed. We'll keep them for the end of public comment. You will have up to 2 minutes to address the board. If you could please introduce yourself by your first, last name, and address. You're welcome to begin.
Sarup Rayamaji. I own the property right next to it, 9 Higgins Street. I wasn't there for the last 2 meetings, traveling from Austin. My parents live there. So, yeah, my biggest concern, I heard that we couldn't park on the street. We're permitted 2 parking permits. We don't have a driveway. So, so we do park on the street. Now the problem is when it snows, we have to elevate our cars into the front of our yard and the side of the house because there's no parking on the street when it snows. So that's my biggest concern. I don't know how much of the area that you're planning to take, or I guess the parking lot on the side of the house where it egresses towards our side of the house. So I'm just kind of concerned that we won't be able to do that when it snows and there's a snow emergency in effect. So that is my biggest concern. I don't know if it's been brought up or by anybody else, but that's my biggest concern. So I kind of want to hear what the plan is in terms of how much space that's going to be taken on the side of the house for the parking lot that it's shown on the picture there. So that was my biggest concern. Again, we park on the street, we don't have parking. We don't have a driveway. We do have 7 feet from our home to the other house where that's our property line. We could build a parking lot there, but we haven't. But again, that was my biggest concern. So I just want to kind of understand what that would look like.
Great, thank you. We will note that for our reconvening with the applicant.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak this evening? Yes, please.
Larry Brenner, I'm at 16 Higgins. I would like to thank the applicant for trying to put as much parking in as possible. I understand that the 2 driveways were a concern. I reviewed the memo and I would want to emphasize all the points in there. We don't want to create more of a parking problem. And there are going to be cars with the street, there always are. And the more parking spots with these new townhomes don't have, they're going to end up on the street. Looking at our whole, Higgins street, there is an average of 2 cars per unit. And they're all two families or more at the other end. And so that's 4 cars. And there are 6 spots, which isn't as good as 8, but it's getting close so we don't have as many cars on the street. And they tend to park on Higgins, not on the cross street, just because it's a quieter street, but it's also much narrower, and we have had issues with the emergency vehicles being able to get through, and we don't want that. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak on this project this evening? Okay, seeing no one else, we will close public comment and we will turn this over to the board for discussion. So what I would like us to do is discuss the 2 driveways and ensure that the board has a discussion to support the finding that the second driveway meets the criteria of 6.1.10A2, or discuss if the board does not feel that way. So, Ken, we'll start with you.
I'm fine with the 2 driveways. I feel like they've done their best to mitigate this, and having less of a parking field and having it spread out is fine. The only thing is the curb cut is the same width as the drive aisle. If the rest of the board feels like that could be narrowed a little bit, that'd be fine by me, but I'm okay with the width it is right now. That's the only thing that I could see as a pushback. But as far as what they did, they've added vegetation along the side there. They added a fence. They did all the stuff that we wanted them to do. I think I'm happy with what that is right now.
Great, thank you. And as we are discussing that, Attorney Winston O'Connor, I know that one of the neighbors had a question about their parking adjacent to this parcel. My understanding is that all of the improvements that you are proposing is on the owned parcel, correct?
Yes, it was on my client's property.
Correct, okay. Thank you for that. Jean, thoughts on the second driveway?
Yes, I mean, I wanted to follow up with the gentleman who asked the question. Since their driveway, the second driveway, is completely on their property, does that mitigate your problems?
Yeah, the only thing, so we have to do actual survey to see how much space there is. What I'm saying is now, when it snows, since you can't park on the street, we do park on the side of the house. We have personally.
Oops. It's fine. The sample board just was falling. We're good. We're good. Keep on going.
So you could still park on your property. This would not eliminate that.
That's what I need to figure out.
Yes.
We need to do a survey to figure out how much space we have.
Yeah.
From that house to where they're planning to build the parking lot. And if there isn't enough space, that's going to be a problem for us.
Right, except this is all on their property. Their driveway is all on their property.
I don't know, has it been surveyed?
Yes, they have. Yes, they have a. So what we're letting you know, and what the applicant confirmed for us, is that all of this work is being done on their property per the survey and the plot information that was provided. Correct.
The only difference would be if your family was parking along Higgins, you wouldn't be able to park where they're putting the driveway in Higgins, because then it's going to be their driveway. But so you'd lose basically one parking space on Higgins, which is where the driveway is. So it seems to me that it meets the requirement. In 2A, it avoids an undue concentration of population, allows adequate provision of transportation, safety, because it's like any other driveway, There are no protected trees being taken down. Doesn't violate any other requirements, etc. It looks like there are sort of low-traffic streets on both sides, so it's not really an issue. So I think it meets the criteria to allow 2 driveways.
Great, thank you, Jean. Steve?
I concur with Attorney Winstanley O'Connor's memo, and I think it meets the requirements in 6110A. Thank you.
I do as well. So I wanted to identify the items that were identified to be addressed to see if we could move forward towards an approval this evening with special conditions. And again, there may be others that the board would like to discuss, which might require further discussion, but I'll run through those that were raised during our initial comment. So there was the request by Ken, I believe, to increase, was it the scale on, can you remind me, which portico?
In unit 4, unit number 4 in building B, the entrance portico to match the portico in unit 3 in building B, so they're similar size. So it looks like a townhouse.
In building B.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. There is the provision that the bicycle structure cannot be greater than 7 feet, and confirm through a dimensioned plan, I would suggest to the Department of Planning and Community Development that the porch projection on building B, the total area of the projection is 25 feet or less.
25 square feet.
Square feet, thank you very much. That is what I have. Jean?
Let me see if I have anything else. I think that's it too.
Steve, did you have anything else?
Nothing further.
Ken, did you have anything else?
Not just to relook at the in building A, your 4 windows in the 4 closets. It's not going to determine my thing here, my vote here one way or the other. It's just I would just like to look at that again because just having dark windows up in there, it doesn't look right. It just looks funny having windows in the closet. And yeah.
Okay, we will not make that I
Because
do
we
not want to
cannot-
make that a
right,
special
we
condition, and they can't,
It's just a comment. Yes.
Do
Yes.
that.
No, it's just, I get it, I get it.
right? Okay, so,
Excuse me.
bless you. Is there a motion to approve, bless you, docket number 3867 for 9 to 11 Robbins Road, with the finding that this project meets the requirements of the site plan criteria, and that the second driveway meets the criteria of 6.1.10A2, and with the special conditions that the applicant increase the scale on Unit 4 in Building B to match the portico in Unit 3 on Building B, that the bicycle structure cannot be greater than 7 feet tall, thank you, and that the porch projection on Building B is 25 square feet or less. All of those items can be submitted to the Department of Planning and Community Development for administrative approval. Any other special conditions that the board would like to add? So is there someone who would make that motion?
So motioned as amended.
I'll second.
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Congratulations. Thank you so much for working with the board. And your site plan approval is now complete. So we will be
You'll
following.
get something in the mail.
Yes, we'll be following up with those items. Okay, so that now closes the public hearing for docket number 3867, 9 to 11 Robbins Road. We'll allow them to leave, and then we will open the public hearing for docket 3881 to 59 Broadway. Let us confirm that the applicant is here, and if I could ask that the applicants please move down. towards our microphone. We'll just get ourselves reset. Plug in behind you. Right over here, please. Thank you so much. We'll get that queued up and then we'll open the hearing.
This is my, no, my mouse is over here.
Right, and is this the presentation that you were looking for?
Yes, that's the one.
Perfect, fantastic.
Very warm.
All right. Just let us know when you're,
I'll be just one more minute.
no problem, just let us know when you're ready and we'll get started.
Right? Should I angle this to the board more?
That would be
guys
very
wanna see
helpful if
this?
you wouldn't mind. Thank you, Claire.
I'll move if that makes it easier.
I can't see it either. Perfect. Can you all see that now? Okay. Great, so we will now open the public hearing for docket number 3881, 259 Broadway, and I will turn it over to Director Ricker for introduction. This is for a site plan review hearing.
Great. I'm up again. Awesome. This is an application for 259 Broadway. The applicant proposes to demolish the existing 4-unit residential building with detached garage and construct a mixed-use building containing 14 residential units and 2 commercial units. A total of 5 parking spaces will be provided. The applicant has submitted a transportation demand management plan to request the parking reduction. 2 affordable housing units are proposed in accordance with our affordable housing requirements in the zoning bylaw. And just a note about the transportation demand management plan, the parking reduction request proposes the following TDM methods to charge for parking on site: to be located within a quarter-mile walk of a bus stop with scheduled bus service at least every 30 minutes, to provide electric bike and scooter charging stations, and also some additional strategies. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to the applicant. You will have up to 8 minutes to address the board, and then we will begin our initial discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My name is Christopher Mulhern. I'm the principal of Harrison Mulhern Architects, Winchester, Mass. We're the architects for the project. 259 Broadway Realty Trust is our client and owner of the property. I know you've seen all this information in your packet, but I want to run through it quickly if I might. Next slide, please. The project's located in the Mass Ave Broadway Multifamily Overlay District. And summarizing the bylaw, the goals of the district are to provide a variety of housing types, to generate affordable housing, to locate housing near retail, to reduce automobile dependency, to protect the climate through sensitive development, to increase investment in redevelopment, to support consumer base for local businesses, and to comply with the requirements of the MBTA zoning, Chapter 40A, Section 3A. Next slide, please. This is the site plan. It's the corner of Broadway and Palmer. Next slide, please. This is the current Victorian that's on the house. It was originally built as a 2-family. It's currently divided into 4 apartments. This is the view looking north across the intersection. Next. This is the view looking southwest down Palmer Street towards the corner. Next slide, please. The R2 zoning district calls for 15-foot front yard setbacks, 5-foot side yard setbacks, and a 20-foot rear setback. The bylaw lets the owner select one side and one rear yard for a corner lot. We have chosen the side opposite Broadway as the rear yard and the side opposite Palmer as the side yard. The MBMF overlay district allows for the reduction of the front yard setback to 0 if one of the bonus requirements is met. We meet the requirements for the ground floor non-residential use bonus, so we are using a 0 setback on Broadway and Palmer. In addition, the bylaw calls for a 7.5-foot setback, upper story setback along Broadway at the 4th floor level. Next slide. This diagram shows the proposed setbacks, 0.6 of a foot and 0.7 of a foot at the street front facing piers, 2.2 feet at the storefront in the notches between the piers, 5.2 feet on the left side, and 20 feet at the rear. Next slide, please. This is what we want to build. It's a 5-story building with a mostly retail ground level and 4 levels of rental apartments above. The building steps back about 15 feet at the 4th level, presenting a 3-story facade to Broadway. The residential entrance is in the center of the Broadway facade, marked by the glass curtain wall on the 2 floors above. The retail level is clad in red brick with cast stone base course and lintels. The upper levels are clad in a range of light-colored fiber cement panels accented by aluminum cornices and sunshades. Next slide. Here is the ground floor plan. 92% of the street frontage is retail, with a glass storefront to a height of 9 feet. The smaller retail space on the left will work for a small professional services office, while the larger one could be a variety store, a day spa, a small daycare facility, or perhaps a coffee shop. Both spaces have access to the ADA bath in the residential area in order to avoid having to build out employee bathrooms in the retail footprints. The residential portion is accessed via a vestibule off Broadway or by one of the 2 doors at the rear of the building. The modest lobby links the doors to the elevator and the egress stairs. The balance of the space is taken up by a shared laundry facility, the shared ADA bath, a bike room with space for 24 bikes, and a rear vestibule doubling as a trash and recycling center. The back hallway will house the mailboxes and a real-time transit display. Next. This landscape plan shows the development of the balance of the site. There are 5 parking spaces, 3 full-sized and 2 compact, tucked under the overhanging portion of the building. These are accessed by way of the existing curb cut on Palmer Street. The back center walkway has a bike rack for 2 visiting bikes. The sidewalk from the rear vestibule provides level access for moving wheeled trash carts from the building to the truck. The electric transformer and a generator providing standby power for the elevator will be located along the side yard privacy fence. We'll come back to the other landscape items in just a moment. Next. The 2nd and 3rd floor plans are the same, with 4 modest apartments per floor, 3 1-bedroom units and 1 2-bedroom, 1-bath unit. In addition to the 2 affordable units proposed, the small size of these apartments will put the rents at the low end of the range for new construction. Next. The 4th floor steps back about 15 feet to the line of the center corridor, leaving 3 1-bedroom units. The middle portion of the roof created by the setback will be used for a shared outdoor deck area, the main part of which will be shaded by a pergola. The edge of this roof will be protected by a 42-inch high parapet. Next. The 5th floor follows the pattern of the 4th with 3 1-bedroom units. All of the bedrooms in the project have windows on 2 exposures, allowing natural cross ventilation. Next. The upper roof plan is shown on the left, showing the elevator penthouse, heat pumps for the residential units, ventilation equipment, and the future solar array. This 35-panel, 15.4 kW array will generate about 17,400 kilowatt hours of power per year. This level also has a 42-inch high parapet. The top of the roof parapet will be 61 feet 2 inches above the ground level, shielding the rooftop equipment from view. The right side of this slide shows the partial basement level, housing the building utility areas and one storage cage per each apartment. The basement will be held away from Broadway and Palmer Streets to minimize the impact on the existing street infrastructure. Next. Here are the street elevations with Broadway on the left and Palmer Street on the right. The residential entrance is in the center of the Broadway facade. The Broadway front is 3 stories tall with the 2 upper floors set back. The retail storefront wraps around to Palmer Street. That facade features 3 small bays with projecting tops. Next. Here are the rear and left side elevations. The upper 4 floors project over the grade parking at the rear. The left side steps back in a series of planes to accommodate the angled property line. The upper levels are clad in a combination of ribbed and smooth panels with aluminum accents at the corners and parapets. Next. This view highlights the exterior materials. The base at grade is a cast stone concrete band. The ground level is clad in red brick with precast lintels and an upper projecting precast band at the second floor level. The entrance doors and storefront framing are black anodized aluminum with a slightly tinted glass infill. The upper levels are clad in a suite of fiber cement panels with a variety of light colors and a variety of textures, some smooth and some ribbed. The corner bays, the Broadway window bays, and the cornice lines will be clad with a light gray insulating aluminum panel. The projecting sunshades are fabricated from aluminum and finished with a Kynar paint system, also light gray. Next. This view from Palmer Street shows the parking under the building and the 3 dark colored bays facing Palmer Street at the 3rd and 4th floors. These bays have projecting aluminum cornices. Next. Here's the ground level landscape plan again, showing 6 new honey locust street trees, 3 each on Broadway and Palmer Streets. New concrete sidewalks along both streets will be accented by decorative pavers and benches in the facade recesses. The left side yard will have a 6-foot privacy fence and be planted with a buffer of arborvitae with a ground cover understory over a mulch bed.
We are just about at the end of your time. If you have 1 or 2 other items that you'd like to highlight for the board, we do need to move into the discussion.
Yes, I appreciate that. I wonder if you could indulge me for another 5 minutes.
We unfortunately have a very packed agenda tonight, so if you could, again, if there are items that are not clearly called out in the application package, we'd certainly welcome those clarifications.
Let's skip ahead to slide 24, Claire. One more, that one. So this is the zoning. The project meets the requirements of the bonus provisions of the MB-MF overlay district as highlighted here in tan. The proposed conditions are highlighted in green. Section 5.8.4E offers 3 alternatives to obtain height and setback bonus. Of these, we've chosen option 1, the mixed-use option. There are no residential units on the ground floor. More than 60% of the usable area is non-residential, and more than 80% of the street frontage is given over to the non-residential uses. Therefore, we have added the 5th floor and reduced the front yard setback from 15 feet to 0. The total height is 61.17 feet, which is less than the 65-foot limit. The transportation demand management plan lets us reduce the parking. We have 2 affordable units meeting the 8.2 requirements and 53% of the roof solar accessible. Skipping to 26, please. The Planning and Community Development Department did a review of this project and generated a hearing memorandum dated January 8th. These are the findings. They found the project is consistent with the purpose and intent of the overlay district. They found that it was consistent with the development standards of Section 5.8 and the environmental design review standards of 3.4. They found that the 40% compact was allowed and that we were consistent with the energy requirements of the bylaw. I have some response to the comments that were made in that report, but if I'm out of time, we can stop right there.
We are well out of time, but we will, I'm sure, get to all of those questions during the discussion, and
thank you for your patience.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I know it was a very comprehensive package, and I appreciate the update. I do have one question, but before we begin, I know that this project was in front of us previously as a different project, a small addition to the back of the existing property.
5-unit project
Right.
with an addition to the building, that's correct.
Yep. Is there if you could just speak to the reasoning behind the change in approach?
The applicant felt as if the complications around trying to renovate the existing building and the resistance to the addition to get to 5 units was making it not really viable to go forward with 5. So they decided to pivot and go to this approach, which is a comprehensive redevelopment of the lot.
Can you speak to the resistance that was occurred? Because I know that this board had been supportive with the enclosure of the rear stair, which had been at the last hearing that I attended or meeting with the Historic Commission had been successfully addressed. Can you speak to, can you be clearer, because I'm not aware of any resistance that had occurred after the meeting that I attended where there was a successful discussion around the enclosure of the rear stair?
So I'm a little bit at a loss here because I wasn't the architect on that project, but my colleague can answer, I believe.
Thank you very much, Chris. Madam Chair, 3 members of the board, my name is Attorney Robert Peterson. I'm the family attorney for the Babulis family who owns this property. It is my understanding, and I was also not involved in the previous development, but from my discussions with the Babulis family, when they went about that original planning, it became, for what they had to do relative to the financial constraints around improving the property as previously proposed. When they went back in and reviewed the zoning bylaws and what could be allowed here under this overlay district, it became more both financially and practically feasible for the site layout, as well as the current structure as it sits on the site, and overall redevelopment as their long-term goals kind of changed when they revisited their redevelopment of the site.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we will turn it over to the board for any questions or initial feedback. Just procedurally, I will share that the board will most likely ask you several questions during this initial phase. We will then open up the hearing for public comment. I will see where we are in our timing of our agenda this evening to determine the length of public comment. We will then turn it back to the board, who will discuss whether we will be able to reach a finding this evening, or whether we will need to continue the hearing and ask you to come back with additional clarifications. So with that, I will turn it over to Ken.
All right, this is a site plan review.
Yes, sir.
So for us, we're just reviewing, does this meet all the zoning requirements and all the MBTA regulations and rules? So it's not really a special permit review.
Understood.
The only thing you're asking for is, from us, is probably reduction in parking.
Approval of a transportation demand management plan, which then leads to a reduction in parking. Yes, sir.
Okay. So when I look at your parking, you have 5 parking spots there with a drive lane of 12.7 feet.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how you can turn a car in that 12-foot, 0.7 turnaround. I mean, a car is 18 feet deep, and so there's no way of you getting that turn. I don't think our rules allow for that. You have 14 units. That means that at least one of these spots have to be handicapped, and you don't indicate that at all. Okay.
My response to that, with respect to handicap parking, my understanding of the bylaw, the ADA rules, 527 CMR, is that 15 spaces requires the first handicap space. So there's no requirement in the ADA for a handicap space in this particular lot. If we needed one, if we had a tenant who needed to have a space that was accessible, then we would convert the last space on the left to a handicap space by changing the grades to incorporate that sidewalk as the access area. With respect to the width of the driveway, the intent here is that these are overnight parking spaces, that they're only used by residents, tenants of the building. And the turning is tight. There's no question about that, but I believe that it's possible to use all of those spaces with a 12.7-foot access drive.
Well, that's left up to debate right now, and I don't believe it is, okay?
Okay.
As far as locating the handicap spot, that is true, what you said, but it has to be at the closest possible parking space. You can't put it the furthest one away.
So there's a door directly adjacent to that parking space which has grade access to the inside of the building. So there would be a very short accessible route from the space to the building.
It is a route, not the primary route, but that's, we can, I'm just bringing up issues right now. Okay?
Understood. It's not the primary entrance, but it is one of the accessible entrance to the building.
And right now, according to you, you say you guys have 60% of ground floor that is commercial.
60% of the usable area, yes, sir.
Okay, and when you say usable area, then what do you classify as usable area?
So we classify everything excepting the stairs and the elevator of the interior space as usable area. So if you take the footprint of this floor, deduct the stairs and elevator, then the balance is 60% retail and 50, whatever it is, 63, 47, 37.
So are you counting the bathroom space and the ADA bathroom as retail?
No.
Okay.
I think we counted that as part of the residential space.
Okay. The hallway's residential too?
Correct.
Okay. Because the way you have it laid out, I find that the commercial space is kind of small and chopped up. It'd be very hard to find any tenants that would want to go in there.
It's divided into two spaces, that's correct.
Okay. My suggestion is to maybe have the residential entry on Palmer and have the commercials solely face Broadway. This way you have a combined space and you can make it more of an entry near the parking, at the corner where the parking lot and the building is. This way you can increase your commercial space. I right now find that this is not enough commercial space you have laid out here. Okay. The other thing that I want to touch briefly on is the height of your building.
Yes.
all right? You're certainly allowed, if you meet all the requirements, 6 stories.
We're not allowed 6 on this street. We're only
Sorry,
allowed 5.
you allow 5, sorry, my mistake. You allow 5 stories. But your floor-to-floor height is extremely high. Well, if I look at your building section, in the middle of the building, you have 11-foot, where is it now?
10'8", I believe, is what it has as a floor-to-floor height for the upper residential floors. We're using 14 feet for the ground level, which allows us the depth of structure that we need to minimize the columns, and it allows us a way to combine the utilities to get them consolidated before they leave the building.
Well, the first floor you have 14 feet.
Yes.
Okay, which is fine. I think it should be that high
Yes.
for commercial space. But then you have 10'6", then you go to 11'2", 10'6", and 11'2".
Yes. So the reason for that is that the 4th floor setback requires a significant amount of insulation at the roof. And in order to be able to walk out directly from that 4th floor level to the outdoor space, we need a little more height to accommodate the insulation at the roof. The typical framing that we would use in a building like this is 20-inch deep wood trusses. So that's how we get to needing 10'6" or 10'8" for the typical floor-to-floor height. And the one floor is bigger because of the roof deck and the insulation requirements of the roof deck.
Well, I was hoping you can get, right now you have over 61 feet.
Correct.
Tall building.
That's including the parapet, sir.
You're like 9 feet short of a high-rise.
That's true.
Okay,
Well,
and
8'11" or 8'10", sure.
and it just doesn't seem quite fitting in that spot.
I see.
Okay. So what I'm asking you to do is, if you can lower your floor-to-floor heights, you have close to 3'6" on your parapets.
Yes.
You're up there. No one's going to look horizontally in this building. I would get rid of the parapets and put screen walls further back on your mechanical space.
Well, we could do that, but the upper roof is so small that screen walls set back are basically going to reduce the solar array significantly. If you look at that roof plan again, you'll see that we're using pretty much all the available space.
I would use that as a way of saying you can't put as much solar as you can there, because right now the building looks a little too massive to me. You have these parapets, you have these extra floor heights. I think you can easily squeeze another 6 feet out of this building here, and that's half a story, lowering the building down, and that's a good way of heading the right direction. I see it. Okay. Another thing is when you have these big heavy parapets and these parapet walls, it makes the building very chunky. If you're going to use these parapets for screening of your balconies, I would suggest maybe a lighter railing system that's more transparent. So you lower that almost 4-foot high parapet down further, so it doesn't seem as massive. And either glass railings, wire railings, or whatever, or set it back a little bit so it doesn't look so chunky. That's what I have for the massing so far. Okay, I mean on your setbacks you have your elevator, your stairs, and your walkway there. Okay. That doesn't have to be the same height as the units. I see how you want to have, if you go to the 4th floor, or the 5th floor, you have your egress stair facing Broadway and a hallway there.
Yes.
That could be much lower. It doesn't have to have the same height as your unit. So you're introducing another setback in such a tall building. I'm just encouraging you ways of looking at this building so you can reduce the massing of this building. All right? You might even go a step further and say, look, at the top floor, the corners of the building are all the bedrooms. Maybe the bedrooms don't meet that height, and only the living rooms and kitchens need the extra height to give it more volume. Or take the same advantage and make the windows bigger, so it looks. The space looks bigger and brings more light in, and also by introducing more windows or bigger windows, it makes the heaviness of the building go away.
Yes.
Right now, when I see the building, it's extremely tall and heavy, with the parapets and the materials you've chosen and some of the windows. So
Well, I respectfully disagree with you, but one of the things that we need to talk about is that we're up against significant energy code constraints with respect to the amount of glass that we have in this building. And so we're trying to balance getting good daylight in the interior spaces and also getting the right performance from the building to meet the passive house requirements of the energy code.
I don't disagree with you there, but I see lots of buildings that's being built right now with large windows, and they do meet the requirements, okay? So they have ways of doing that.
Okay.
Just take another look at that. I'm going to leave it at that for now, okay? Because I'm letting my other colleagues talk a little bit more about the architecture. Because right now it looks like it's I can't tell what it is right now. It's sort of a conglomerate of different styles and different things. So I think.
Well, it's trying to be a modern building, and it's trying to have a variety of materials and using those materials to break down the scale of the building.
I still think we need steps to go further. Yes?
Just to add for purposes of clarification, so we can further do what we need to do and work with the board to make sure this is the right development for the site. So just taking an overall view of your comments, basically, we will, obviously we heard them and we will take it back, and we will, it seems to me you're talking about the bulk as provided on the building. If we could are you looking for a more streamlined design and a sleek design and take all that back?
We'll get to that point.
Okay.
I think at this point right now, what I'd like to do is before we give you a specific direction, let's hear the comments from the other board members, and we will get to a point where we will give you very clear direction on some of the architectural moves that we would like to see explored.
Fair enough.
Keep in mind, this is only my opinion so far.
I understand.
The rest of the board has not had a chance to express theirs, and they have just as much valid things, and we will discuss it, and as a group, we will give you a direction.
Thank you. Jean?
Yes, thank you. So on the front and side of the building, I don't know, Claire, if you can pull up from the plans and drawings A 5.3.
Are you looking for the front elevation?
Well, the actual, sort of what it's going to look like.
The 2D
rendering.
The rendering. Okay, so
Like this
5.3 sounds pretty good.
5.3, A5.3.
Yeah.
slide 8, Claire.
Slide 8, okay, hold on just a sec.
I love when he pops up and says hello.
There you go.
So just to the right of the sort of the center windows,
Yes.
there are two little square icon things on the wall, and those things reappear on the side
Correct.
of the building also.
They're-
What are they?
They're vents. They're kitchen hood exhaust connections matched up, color matched to the siding that they're sitting in.
Okay, yeah, well, as you'll find out, we don't allow those. I have to go through the roof. So,
There's no sidewall venting.
Yeah, so. that'll
Even
have-
for kitchen hoods?
right,
Correct.
That'll have to be changed. So you indicate the building is on the inventory of historical and
Yes.
architectural significant projects?
Yes.
Where are you in the process of getting a demolition approval?
We applied for a demolition permit in July of 2024. The demolition delay, 2025.
25.
In 2025, the Historical Commission did institute the moratorium at their September meeting, so that moratorium will run through July of 2026.
So you'll have permission as of July 2026 to demolish the building?
Yeah, we'll have to go through that, the procedures as dictated by the building inspector and the Historical Commission.
Right, okay, thank you. That's helpful to know. So can you go over again how you determine that 67.44% of the ground floor is commercial?
Yes. You take the interior space of the ground floor and deducted the two stairwells and the elevator from that number, and then compared the balance, classified everything excepting their two retail spaces as residential, and then did the percentage that way. That was,
So you had mentioned usable
yes,
floor, but the word usable is not in the zoning bylaw. It's just ground floor. So I'd like to know how much the percentage would be if you put back in the elevator and the stairway and everything else that's confined by the wall of the buildings.
we can do that
Yeah, I think
calculus.
I think you'll have
The
to.
reason that we went the way we did was because we were under the understanding that this board on a previous project had made a determination that it was the ratio between the residential usable space and the retail usable
That
space.
was a misunderstanding. It was the ratio between the amount enclosed by the walls, not having to do with usable space enclosed by the walls. So, and not every member of the board agreed, and we never had a final vote on that because the project was withdrawn.
I see.
And in fact, my opinion on that previous project, which remains my opinion on this one, is it's the total area that's enclosed, not only by the first floor enclosed, but by the overhang on the second floor, and that's all the ground floor of the building. So the total floor area on your materials is 2,932 square feet. And 60% of that is 1,759.2 square feet. So you haven't come close, in my opinion, to meeting the 60% because you're at somewhere around 1,220 square feet. And my view is you have to get up to 1,759.2 square feet.
Well, with respect,
Sure.
when I read the zoning language about the bonus, it talks about the area of the ground floor. Now, the area of the ground floor can't be the same as the area of the second floor unless the floors match. So if the building steps in on the ground floor, then the area of the ground floor is what it is.
That's not how I read it. So
I see.
We'll have a difference.
I
But
guess-
some of my colleagues
That's
agree
a
with me.
difference in the, let's leave that alone for now.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the next is, I'm wondering, have you done any market research to see how leasable these two spaces are, the two retail spaces in the building?
No,
Yeah.
I have no reason to think they wouldn't be leased, though.
Well, I have a reason to think the opposite. In a previous special permit about a year ago, we asked the person to do some market research, and they came back and they said, there's no market for office space in Arlington at the moment. So the idea that the 337 square foot could be leased for office, I think is pretty far-fetched unless you can come back with some market research information to the contrary. And I would say the same thing about the 883 square feet. Now, what's interesting, if you actually read the zoning bylaw, is it actually says for you to get the bonus, those places have to be actually occupied, not available, but actually occupied by eating and drinking establishments, business services, childcare, or retail uses. So, at least for me, I would like to see a market survey coming back to us that says, these size spaces at this location reasonably we would expect could be used by one of those types of things mentioned there.
Would you agree that it's a pretty inclusive list, though, based on the last term?
It does not include offices.
Pardon me?
I believe it does not include offices.
No, it doesn't.
So that is not, that was presented as a use of the commercial space, and that is not listed in the allowable uses in that in the bonus provision.
Right, so there's a limitation. So I'm just saying at this point, I don't think you meet the 60%, and I don't think these spaces meet the requirement for the bonus. So I'll leave it at that for the moment on that. Has your client ever managed other apartment buildings that
Oh, yes.
have 14 units or thereabout and only 5 parking spaces on site? How many?
Yeah, 60 units and 6 parking spaces, yeah.
And where is that?
Austin.
And is on-the-street parking overnight allowed in Alston? Yeah, so you can do that. Okay. Your TDM plan that you presented, thank you, it was a very comprehensive plan, although I have some issues with it, shows that mode shares for the project were determined using the 2023 census data for the tract, and it indicated that 51% of the people commute via vehicle, car, truck, van, something they own. 7% by public transportation, 8% bike or walk, 34% walk from home. Well, if we're talking about approximately 50% commuting by car, and we're just expecting it to be the same, why aren't we looking at 7 spaces, so at least half of the units have a parking space, so you're at least conforming yourself to what you've put in the TDM plan?
Well, I guess the idea of the TDM is to try to change the behavior of the people who rent in this building, and the notion is that if you charge for parking and the parking is limited, that people are going to find other ways to get to work. That's the concept of the TDM.
Well, the way this works is you present the TDM plan for us, and then we have to approve the number of spaces that are reduced. You don't get the reduction automatically. Some of your TDM plan methods, by the way, don't meet the criteria. For example, you listed providing covered parking, bicycle parking and storage, but that's already required by the bylaw, so you can't double count it. So that doesn't count as one. You list the 87 and 850 bus routes, but they must run 7 days a week and 30-minute frequency. And the 87 bus route doesn't meet the 7 days a week because it doesn't come to Arlington on Sundays. The 350 bus route doesn't meet the 30-minute headways because on weekends the headways are approximately an hour on the 350. And you haven't shown the location of the bicycle charging stations. I don't think I saw them on the diagram.
You're right, that's not on the plan.
So you have to have at least 2 bicycle charging stations that are.
I thought that we only needed 1. Why do we need 2?
Because the zoning bylaws in the plural, stations, not station, stations.
Okay.
I didn't see the, maybe I missed it, are the sizes of your parking spaces on one of the plans? I
Yes,
didn't see
there's
it.
a civil plan that has the
It's
sizes
just-
on it.
Okay, thank you, I didn't see it. the short-term bicycle parking in the rear, how will people arriving by bike know where to find the parking?
I guess we'll have to sign it. I mean, there's no, it's not obvious. The location is not obvious, but the bike rack will be obvious.
Yeah, the zoning bylaw requires that the short-term bicycle parking be located within 50 feet of the main entrance of a building or no further away than the nearest off-street parking space, whichever is closer. Now, we have occasionally allowed people to put parking in back, but you'd need to have signage, you know, by the entrance to the building and the entrance to the retail spaces.
That would be no problem.
That, where the parking is. Regarding your landscape plan?
Yes.
The zoning bylaw requires the tree warden approve your choice of trees. You mentioned honey locust. Have you run those by the tree warden?
We have not.
Yeah,
but
that will need to be done.
We're happy to do whatever the tree warden wants us to do as far as those trees
Yeah,
go.
you'll have to do that. The memo from the Department of Planning and Community Development had some other things about bicycle parking, including details about the two-tier bike racks.
I'm happy to address those now if you want.
Well, we'd like to see them in writing.
Yeah, we submitted a response to the memorandum
Okay.
this morning
It
to
just hasn't gotten to us.
the planning department.
Did you respond to also the waste and recycling
Yes, sir.
containers
Yes, sir.
and the exterior lighting?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about the lighting now?
No, as long as you did a response to them, we'll get to see it.
Okay,
Okay, that's all I have at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Steve?
thank you.
Hi, thanks. So I am one of the board members who, regarding the 60% requirement, I'm one of the board members who felt that it meant 60% of the interior area. So the two commercial spaces are total 1,220 square feet.
Yes.
And I guess my question is, 1,220 is 60% of 2,034 square feet. So if the enclosed area of the first floor is larger than 2,034 square feet, you're not meeting the requirement.
I understand that. Our understanding from previous hearings by this board was that it was the usable interior space. And if that's not the case, if that's not the board's interpretation this week, then we'll make a change.
It is not at all. I don't appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Steve?
Okay, so yes, regarding bicycle parking, because there is a bike parking requirement, the bicycle parking to use indoor bike parking as a TDM plan, it means providing parking in excess, which I think you've done. The requirement is 21 spaces, and you're proposing 24.
Correct.
So I think that would be countable. Claire, could you bring up a rendering? Or actually, I could point at this one if that's okay.
Slide 8, yeah.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I sort of had to struggle with was the top floor.
Yes.
Now, looking way over on the right, there's sort of that side panel. There's a window. There's a blank space next to it. I realize there's a mechanical closet behind that.
Correct.
But it seems like the front piece in the middle is, I believe, a hallway, and then
Correct.
there's a stairway over on the left. Okay.
Correct.
It feels like the windows did not get the same attention to detail as the ones on the other side of the building. To put it plainly, the windows on the Palmer Street side look a lot nicer than the ones on the Broadway side.
Okay.
And it would be nice to sort of have them on par. Also, it's a very large white space. And I understand that a good chunk of that, or some of that height comes from the parapet.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that bringing that down will sort of reduce it's almost like a little bit of a blank wall effect, or at least to me visually. You might also consider putting in, just like maybe a layer of color under the cornice to, just, add something to that space.
Understood.
All right, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My colleagues have covered many of the items. I'll just cover a few items architecturally. Make a copy here so I keep my list. I think Steve just started, Ken has discussed that the parapet is too high visually, both at the fourth floor setback as well as at the upper floor. So that needs to be lowered. And Steve just mentioned the top floor currently reading as an extra box stacked on top of the building. Obviously, you don't meet the current provision for the fifth floor. If you are able to meet that provision, that definitely architecturally needs to be tied into the rest of the building architecture, whether it's set back on all of the street-facing sides, incorporating some other roof elements, whether they're articulated to reduce that flat slab effect that we're seeing now. And I'd like to see a stronger cornice or shadow line at the top for the proportion. I think that we need to see more articulation at the upper story and the side windows, or the windows. They're very flat. The color palette also seems to be very stark for this residential neighborhood. Could you please? Thank you. The color palette is very stark for this residential neighborhood in terms of the bright white. So I'd want to have you take another look at the coloration. And again, per Ken, I'm just having trouble discerning the architectural style, and it certainly doesn't have anything to do with the context of the neighborhood. So I think we need to take another look at the architectural style in general. Reduce the number of materials that we're working with here. It's a challenge with the current architecture in the neighborhood. I think that we also need to provide a stronger datum between the commercial and the residential above. It feels truncated right now, and there's not really any band that differentiates between the two. And that's all I have right now. So anything else before we open the docket for public comment? Okay, so let me do a time check right now. Per our agenda, we are running into our warrant article time. Obviously, I would like to hold some time for public comment, and then we'll need to reconvene to give specific direction as a board. I'd like to hold, we'll hold up to, we'll hold 20 minutes, up to 20 minutes for public comment, and then we'll reconvene as a board so that we can finalize our recommendations by no later than 9:30. So with that, I will open the hearing up for public comment. As a reminder, anyone wishing to speak, please raise your hand. Once I call on you, I will ask that you join us at the microphone up here at the front. You'll have up to 2 minutes to address the board. We will not address comments as they are posed to the board. I will collect them and we will address them at the end. And we ask that you introduce yourself with your first and last name and street address. With that, we will start with the individual in the black shirt. Thank you.
Hi, Jerry Leonard, 44 Palmer Street. I'm speaking on behalf of a group of neighbors surrounding 259 Broadway. Earlier today, we submitted a memo to the board raising concerns about whether the proposed building is an appropriate fit for the neighborhood in terms of size, aesthetics, traffic, overall impact. We want you to know that we support increasing housing. We welcome new neighbors, but we think the proposal appears inconsistent in some respects with both the MBTA Communities Act and, of course, Arlington's own zoning and environmental standards. The project currently includes 14 apartments, as you know, mostly one-bedroom units, seeks a bonus 5th story, and results in a 61-foot tall building, nearly twice the height of nearby structures. It also seeks elimination of setback requirements, which would otherwise soften the visual mass of the building. The building really stands out for its height, appearance, and the number of cars that it would bring to local streets. We wonder whether the project truly qualifies for the bonus floor, as has been mentioned, limited ground floor commercial space. We're inclined to agree with Mr. Benson's interpretation on that score. We think that interpreting differently incentivizes developers to minimize the actual commercial space by minimizing the ground floor size. Parking is also a serious concern. The project provides only 5 off-street spaces instead of the presumptive 14 and plans to charge high monthly fees. This will actually likely push more cars onto already congested streets for parking, especially Palmer Street, which is narrow, frequently obstructed during the day, and already poses challenges to emergency vehicles. Further, the building's height would significantly reduce sunlight for neighboring homes, gardens, and potential solar installations. A 3 or 4 story building would greatly reduce these impacts. We'd love to see reconsideration of what could be done with the the existing building. And finally, the project is, can I make one last quick point?
It's very, very quick.
It's very short. The project is dominated by one-bedroom units, which, while legal, of course, runs counter to the spirit of the MBTA Communities Act, which emphasizes families with children. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'm Carl Wagner. I'm a town meeting member in Precinct 15, and I live in Edge Hill Road. I want people to understand that this, I believe, is the very first project that will have bonuses in the MBTA density overlay series of projects. It's setting precedents. I appreciate that the board is taking its time to be careful. If we make a mistake in a precedent here, it's much harder to turn back from it in the future. I think this building has a lot of problems. Maybe in a town or city like Alston it would fit in, but it doesn't fit its neighborhood at all. And it's going to punish the people who live there, which is sort of appropriate because it looks like it is a detention center on the top of it or something. I don't know. 4, 5, whatever parking spaces for 14 units is so different from what I sat in this room with some of you and heard these people say we would get. 1 unit per MBTA development unit, 1 parking unit per MBTA development unit. This transportation demand management stuff is fake. It's reducing parking to unbelievably punishing levels for the people who will live there. And we saw that the board is rightly questioning the space for the vehicles. I would ask you to consider that most of you who live in Arlington have a car in your family or in your unit somewhere. And how would you feel if it was reduced to some fraction below half even of the units getting the parking spaces? I'll tell you that I believe right now in Arlington, over 96% of multi-adult families have cars, and of all households, over 90% have cars. So I bicycle to MBTA to go into work in Boston, and many of you do things like buses also, but realistically this is going to really hurt the people who live here. This building doesn't belong in Arlington. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, in the green shirt, thank you.
Set a timer for myself. Good evening. My name is Jeffrey E. My wife and I live at 261 Broadway. We're right there, that blue house. We moved to Arlington 5 years ago, and we have a young son at home. This proposed building is going to be taller than any other building, at least as far as I can tell, on Broadway or Palmer. Based on the shadows diagram, my home and several of the houses on Palmer are going to be completely overshadowed by this building. That's going to affect our gardens, our lawns, and the ability for my 2-year-old to play outside in the backyard and get some sun. It's even going to affect the ability for us to have solar. We had quotes and plans to have it installed, but with the shadows, it's rendered moot. I think it's great that these new projects are required to have solar, but it feels backwards to me to let one building potentially cause a net negative in the amount of solar in the neighborhood. We also have questions about the bonuses. As I understand it, and as you've discussed, to obtain the bonuses, the requirement is that the commercial spaces occupy 60% of the ground floor. I know that there have been discussions about whether or not gross floor area is appropriate to use there, and I will say this. My wife is an attorney, and one of the things that she's taught me is that sometimes the words that you don't use are just as important as the words that you do. Gross floor area is not used, and if you ask a layman or anyone in here what ground floor means, if you ask a layman who doesn't read this stuff every day, hey, where's the parking? They would say ground floor. So to me, the proper square footage for the calculation would be to use the area under the second floor. Removing the 5th floor bonus and maintaining a 15-foot front setback would go a long way towards making this property fit into our neighborhood. A 0-foot front setback is also dangerous, in my opinion, for pedestrians, bicycles, and other cars. In the last 5 years that I've lived here, I've witnessed numerous accidents where cars are getting T-boned because crossing Broadway from Palmer is hard enough already. And having a 0-foot setback is going to make sightlines even more difficult for everyone. I would even ask the board members to visit the intersection and see if the building had a 0-foot setback, what your sightlines would look like. And that's 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Anyone else, would anyone else wish to speak? Yes.
Rebecca Peterson. I'm a town meeting member, and I'm just speaking in general about this project. I want to thank the board for your comments tonight about the issues that you see with this project, because I think these builders and architects are failing us as a town. Every single project is the same bland box of gray and white with maybe a little spice of color around the windows. It's very modern. They all look the same. It doesn't blend in with the neighborhood like other people have said. And I don't understand how there can be so much confusion about the bylaws. I don't have any kind of background in design, architecture, anything, and I can grasp what these concepts are and what the rules say. I don't have them all memorized, but I can understand them. And I feel like every time we have these meetings, the proponents of the projects are trying to say, well, but we qualify for the bonus or we qualify for this. And I don't understand the questionable math and the questionable ways that this is trying to get done. And just as a side note, I can't think of a single new project that has, referring to the commercial space, that has vital shops that draw foot traffic on the ground floor. And I know that you can't, there's a bunch of uses, and so you can't dictate what goes in there. But all of these projects that are recent have like kind of shaded windows, and one of them's sort of a gym near the high school. No one ever goes in and out. And it would be really great to have some shops, some restaurants, anything that would draw foot traffic and make it seem like a vital commercial corridor, and that the space is, really benefiting the residents of Arlington. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak this evening? Yes.
Hi. I used to be a town meeting member, but found it tough. But I appreciate your comments. My name's Michelle Nathan. I'm Robin Hood Road. And the project doesn't directly affect me, although it does in the sense that I care about others in the whole community and not just myself. Most people, I have a little bit different angle. Most people don't understand the role of pollinators, such as bees. And so I've been doing a lot of research because I'm very interested in the natural environment and the sky. That's what nurtured me as a child. And the studies have shown that when the lights are not shielded and they're not pointing down, that the pollinators end up getting disoriented and they lead to early death. So I think most people know the role of pollination in terms of our food supply, and that's what keeps our food supply going. So I wanted to, you may have already talked about it, but I understand your bylaw says lighting in residential buildings should be shielded and pointed down. But I see a lot of buildings like this and others that aren't that way, that they're very glaring. So I just wanted to protect our pollinators. We all like coffee. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak this evening? Yes.
Aram Holman, 12 Whittemore Street, also town meeting member, Precinct 6. I think one of the biggest objections to me is the idea of 5 parking spaces for 15 units. And let me cite some evidence why that is completely and totally inadequate. And I can back these up with references. Right now and historically, since the turn of the century, roughly 90% of Arlington's units own at least one car, with an average of about 1.5 cars per unit. And currently, 73% of residents commute via a car, most of them single, the only person in. The idea that you're going to have 5 spaces for 15 units, where is the economic viability for the people who are going to work there? That is entirely inconsistent with Arlington. Transportation demand management, there are some things that are inappropriate. It is not the proponent's fault that the rules allow things like charging for parking. As a transportation demand management strategy, that's a little bit like Elon Musk charging for his pornography software and saying that will cut pornography use. You can't do that. The other thing is we have enough inadequate spaces throughout Arlington of dinky little storefronts. Arlington Center, where I live, there's regularly at least 10 storefronts. They're far larger than 337 square feet, and they are vacant. The idea that you can have a 337 square foot space that's useful for anything is truly offensive. That is not how we gain businesses in Arlington.
Thank you. You're at time.
Okay.
Would anyone else like to speak this evening? Yes.
Good evening, thank you. Steve McKenna, a resident of Arlington, real estate agent. I'm not for nor against, but I want to bring up something that Ken mentioned immediately. Understanding all the situations with parking and the comments that were made, there is a concern that a parking space is 8.5 feet by 18.5 feet. And I think the turning radius is going to be extremely difficult, number one. There's been no discussion about snow removal, snow placement. The other item is you have a 6-foot buffer fence on the side. There could be a concern for exiting vehicles where you should probably taper down the fence to some point as you get closer to the sidewalk. So there's some safety issues there. And then the location of where you're going to take the trash out, how is that going to be removed from inside if the parking spaces are taking up the access? That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak this evening? I'm sorry, I missed you over there. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Melita Marks, and I live on Pine Ridge Road. I'm in Precinct 12. I actually submitted a email previous to this, which I think you have in your records. But I just wanted to quickly say, because this is kind of the first review of this new project that's being presented, and I just wanted to kind of confirm, along with, I think, a lot of other people right now, that that this project seems extremely out of character for the neighborhood. I'm just looking at this picture of this giant building, and it's that house next to it is being completely dwarfed by it. You know, I think that this is a case of we don't necessarily need to do what we can. We can build something that is more appropriate for the neighborhood, that can address some of the affordability issues in Arlington without building something with monstrous proportions like this, that is literally towering over the neighborhood, that is causing a lot of pressure in terms of the fact that it's right on a corner. I know this corner, and it is a very dangerous spot to be having such a tall building in terms of traffic and people crossing. And it is also obviously an issue in terms of the parking. That's ridiculous. People have cars here in Arlington, whether you like it or not. The people living there may, most likely will have cars, and we do not have on-street parking overnight in Arlington. And even if we did, there's very little room on most of our streets, a lot of very narrow streets. It's very difficult. So
thank you.
That was just my addition. I also submitted another statement, but thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak this evening? Okay, with that, we'll have one last speaker. Yes.
My name is Joanne Cullinan. I'm a town meeting member in Precinct 21. I want to mention that I submitted a letter and 210 signatures about respecting the bonus rules for the affordability bonus when the developers of 126 Broadway appear to be pursuing that.
I'd ask that you please keep your remarks to this particular.
Yes, so I just want to say, I feel that all the bonus rule requirements should be respected equally, and that this application or this request to use the commercial rule bonus repeats the errors that we had seen playing out with the other one. And I don't know where that's going because I missed that discussion earlier tonight, but I don't feel it respects the letter or the spirit of the bonus rule law. As to the letter of the law, I feel, repeating what Jeff said, that the letter of the law was 60% of ground floor at street level, and that is what was debated, discussed, and voted upon by town meeting members, not gross floor area or, we're grabbing from here, grabbing from there. And the spirit of the law was to promote commercial use, as many people have said, that will be viable, that will really, make more vibrant communities, where we'll have, foot traffic, and that will be a positive contribution to the town, not undersized spaces that really are just token spaces in order to get more mass and more height. So I'll leave it at that. I think it violates the letter and the spirit of the bonus rule laws and why town meeting members voted for those. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, we will close public comment for this evening for the hearing, and I will turn it back to the board. We do have quite a few items that the board has identified for the applicant to to address before coming back in front of the board. What I'd like to do is run through these here. There may be some that the board would like to flag for further discussion this evening, but I would like to move to a list of next steps for the applicant and to set a continuation date for the hearing. So the list that I have is to address parking. Again, looking at the width of the drive aisle, the visibility from the perimeter fence, and that one of the spaces needs to be convertible to be accessible, that is near to the main entrance. Need to show the calculation of the percent of retail space, and as of now, you have not met the 60% for the bonus provision. So you have the option of removing the fifth floor and reverting to the front yard setback as required in the bylaws, unless you can provide the 60% as required for commercial space. The board would also prefer to have a single larger commercial space than the small commercial space, one mid-size, and the board also would need to see a market survey for the commercial spaces. We also noted that the office use is not allowable per the bonus provision. We would like you to look at reducing parapet heights on both the upper floor as well as the fourth floor, using a more transparent railing system for the parapet at the fourth floor, looking at the height of the egress stair, and anything else that can be reduced to overall help the massing of this building. If you meet the 60% provision in the future, to look at the size of the windows on the fifth floor to ensure that they are more appropriate than the small size that they are now. If you are concerned about glazing, that multi-story entry glazing would be something to look at removing in its place. No sidewall venting is permitted. Everything needs to run through the roof. You need to relook at your TDM plan. The number of parking spaces provided seem to be contradictory to the data presented in the plan. Covered bicycle parking is already required by the bylaw, and that provision cannot be counted. You also need to look again at the bus routes, given that you are not currently meeting those provisions, and you need to show the location of the bicycle charging stations and need to have at least 2. Look at the location of the short-term bicycle parking and its specific location requirements on site. The tree warden needs to approve the street tree species. Let's see. We need to also take another look at the architectural style so that it is more harmonious with the context in the neighborhood. That includes the color palette, as well as the massing and the articulation. We need to add a stronger horizontal datum between the residential above and the commercial below.
Also, you had a comment about simplifying the number of types of cornices you have here. You
Yes.
have, these semi-rounds, you got these overhangs, that's not, just make it so that it's more reads as one language instead of a whole bunch of different types of designs in there.
Thank you, Ken. Jean?
It was just the things that were in the department memo for tonight.
Yes.
That they've submitted something, but none of us has an opportunity.
Correct. We did not have a chance to review the items that were submitted. So I did not list those, but those will need to be reviewed by the board at the next meeting. Steve, anything else?
Just Two possible clarifications on the
Yes.
TDM issues. I realize that the 87 and 350, although I think their TDM plan was mentioning it for completeness, they don't meet the frequency requirements, but I do believe that they're close enough to the 77 so that, okay, so that measure is okay.
Okay.
Regarding the provision of, covered bicycle parking, my understanding was that long-term spaces that were required by the bylaw did not count as a TDM measure.
Correct.
But additional ones would, and they have provided additional ones.
But maybe not enough.
Well,
I think that's what the board needs to review, and I would agree that for the amount of reduction that they are, with Jean, that with the amount of reduction that they are seeking, they have not provided
that's fair.
sufficient alternative transportation methods. Anything else? Okay. Do you have-
Well,
Yes.
since this is a high-rise building, you're going to need, you'll need a fire control center.
70 feet. High-rise buildings start at 70 feet.
You still need a fire command, fire control center. You'll still need mail rooms. You still need all these other stuff. Can you include all the stuff that normally goes with the building in there, so when we get the accurate square footage of
Certainly.
retail space versus lobby space?
Are there any other items that, we have mailboxes shown, we don't need a separate room.
Where is the mailbox shown?
They're on the corridor that leads from the lobby to the back door. And so there will be a fire panel in the vestibule that controls the fire alarm system, but the high-rise requirements don't kick in until you get to 70 feet of height.
As a point of clarification, are you talking about the fire relay systems in the fire department?
Yeah, water room, all that kind of stuff, yeah.
I think he's not talking about hitting the high-rise requirements, just make sure we have.
Sprinkler control room, et cetera. Yep.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you have all the stuff that comes with an apartment building shown, and the square footage is part of that, okay?
We think that we have everything shown. Many of those items that you're talking about are in the basement, but they're all in there.
Okay, just clarifying that. issue,
Understood.
okay?
Yep.
Okay. Do you have any questions for us?
No questions, just a minor point of clarification.
Yes.
We're talking a lot about, there's been a lot of comments about parking and the one-to-one parking per unit. And I don't think I'm telling the board something that they haven't already heard. The 3A zoning act was enacted to address these concerns that we have relative to our need or our use of vehicles and ways to develop housing in these areas by which we have access to these transportation nodes. So I wholeheartedly appreciate and I understand people's concern about the one-to-one parking and what it does to parking, but I've had this discussion in not just Arlington, but in other municipalities, and I think what we're trying to do, or what 3A is trying to do, is try to change that line of thinking. And I know we talked about the TDM, but I think that the TDM that you folks have goes a long way to kind of thwart the one-to-one basis on two different cars, and we will address specifically Mr. Benson's concerns relative to what our TDM says, but I think that the TDM that you guys have or you guys allow does go a long way to kind of get us away from that one-to-one parking. I just want to make that comment.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So what we will need to do is identify a date for you all to return to the redevelopment board, and I'll look to Claire for our next available meeting date. I know that we are scheduling into the second meeting in February. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So that would be the 23rd. Does that date work for you, or do you need us to look into March?
Let's try for it.
Okay. So we will do that. If you do find that you need more time, so materials need to be submitted a week in advance. So be aware of that timing. If you do find that you need more time, please let the Department of Planning and Community Development know, and we can continue the hearing as required. Is there a motion to continue the public hearing for docket number 3881, 259 Broadway?
So motioned.
Sorry, I need to give you the date, sorry. To Monday, February 23rd.
So motioned.
I second at 2026.
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. We will see you back on February 23rd, 2026. Okay, so we will now move to our next item, and I'll give people just a minute to disperse that are interested. We are still in the middle of a meeting, so I just ask that you do so quickly.
On the back.
Okay, thank you. So we'll now move to our next agenda item, which is a discussion of potential warrant articles for 2026 annual town meeting. So I will note that there's a couple of items related to this agenda item. This is not a hearing. We will not be taking votes. We will not be calling members of the public up to speak. This will be a discussion between members of the board. If there are individuals who are here who have clarifying information that the board would like to call upon, we will do so. We have asked the chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals to join us this evening, as we've been discussing several warrant articles with the Zoning Board of Appeals since our retreat in September, and had set his attendance at this evening for questions related to zoning board articles. We have a significant number of potential articles on our list, and our goal tonight will be to determine those which we move forward to the creation of warrant article language for review. The board will take a vote at our next meeting in January on the warrant, the language that will be submitted to the town warrant for this year. Because of the number of articles and the time currently, we will devote, we're going to try and keep it to no more than 5 to perhaps 10 minutes, but I'm going to try and keep it to 5 minutes per potential article. I may take these out of order as well, but let's go ahead and start with the top of our list. What I will do is I will turn this over to Claire from the Department of Planning and Community Development, and then back to the board for a discussion so that we can get to a yes or no as to which articles to move ahead to warrant article language. Okay, so the first item is change to the current ADU provisions, and I'll turn it over to Claire, as there was a memo that was prepared by the Department of Planning and Community Development.
Great, thank you. We received very late last month comments from the Attorney General's office about changes that we made to the ADU bylaw. It may be late, I think, for this board to review fully the memo that was provided. Essentially, what it says is that, we can continue with the bylaw as written, but there are extensive comments from the AG's office as it relates to further implementation of the bylaw. I think this is something that we could likely hold on for this year, but is something certainly that we need to look at moving forward. And we provided the, like I said, we provided the AG's response for the board's reference.
Great, thank you. Steve?
I read the AG's response the day after it came out. Yes, we have some work to do, but I agree with Director Ricker that it could probably wait. The AG has told us what we can and cannot do, so we can just live with that if necessary.
Great, thank you. Jean?
Yeah, I agree. I think the AG didn't understand a couple of things that we did that I think are consistent, so it would be interesting to discussion at some point. But the one thing I wonder if we want to do this year is the one thing where they said it should be changed from special permit to a finding, and that might be something to do
Well,
now.
if we were to do something this year, yeah. And that's what I was referring to when the bit about, the AG has told us what we can't do. So that's exactly what I was referring
So I
to.
think that's the one thing it might be worth pursuing this year.
Ken?
So, Gene, what you're saying is the ADUs right now are by right, right? So it's not by special permit.
Well,
Steve?
There is a provision in the ADU bylaw that requires a special permit if the ADU does not obey the side yard setbacks. So converting an existing garage to an ADU, which happens to be, a significant number of them. If I understood the memo correctly, the AG is saying that you can require a finding, approve it via a finding rather, but you can't require a special permit.
for a non-conforming use.
Yeah.
So it's very specific, and it might be worth just changing that this year.
Excuse me, could Mr. Benson please speak into the microphone?
Yes,
Closer to you.
I'm sorry, I'm very bad at that. Thank you for reminding me.
So that could be done through potentially a more administrative change?
No, it's in the bylaws, so it has to go to town meeting.
No. Through town meeting,
Yeah.
but it is really more of an administrative change in conformance with the AG's guidance.
Correct. It would basically be a technical correction to bring the bylaw into agreement with what the AG says we can do.
And this is not something that was changed, that we changed when we made the changes for the ADU. This has been an existing problem.
This was something that was not changed when we made the last changes.
Some years
Right.
ago, apparently, or decades.
No, years.
No, just years.
It was during COVID.
Yeah, it was 5 years ago. Claire,
If it's just an administrative or a corrective change based on AG's recommendations, I don't see why we just couldn't just put that through and just say, hey, this is a correction that we have to make to our thing and leave it at that. We're not reinventing ADUs again. We're not looking to change anything the ADUs. We're just trying to make it legal.
Okay, so that would be the one change, the one warrant article related to the AG's recommendations would be a technical correction related to the use of special permits versus findings for non-conforming uses.
The key sentence, it says, moreover, General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6's recommendations for pre-existing non-conforming structures and lots does not require a special permit, but instead allows a finding. So that's the one little thing that I think it might be worth changing this year.
Okay. Claire, is that something that the department would want to create language around, or would you, I know that you had said that you were going to submit recommendations at our next meeting, but if that is really the only article that the redevelopment board would like to take up from those findings this year, is that a reasonable?
Yeah, that shouldn't be
Okay.
incredibly difficult for us to put together.
Great. Okay, that closes the first item. The next is the removal of the certified mail requirement. in section 1.5 with a change to first-class mailing. Claire, I'll turn this over to you.
Great, thank you. One of the things we discussed at our meeting retreat in October was the board's desire to remove the certified mail requirement and potentially change that notification to first-class mail. Instead, we find that this certified mail requirement is cost prohibitive for those citizen warrant articles that seek a zoning map change. I believe this was an item that was put on, excuse me, that was raised during the during our retreat, and I believe it's something the board does wish to act on, at least potentially at this next town meeting. Excuse me.
Thank you. Ken.
What did town council say about this?
Town council.
We were going to talk to him about this, weren't we?
Yeah, town council has said that this requirement is nothing that is required at the state level. This is something that is purely an Arlington requirement.
So other towns don't do this?
That's correct. Well, as far as I know.
Okay. I see no problems just changing this, make it simpler.
Okay.
If we have time, I would say do it. If we don't, then we can always push this off to the next year.
Okay. Jean?
It seems a simple enough change to the bylaw to do this year.
Steve?
I agree. I think it's appropriate for this year.
Okay. So we'll need to create language around the change for the mailing requirement. Okay. I'd like to go through all of the departments' proposed updates. The next is the I believe that Katie had changes to the, actually, let's go to the environmental articles next.
Great, thank you. We have we have an update to the floodplain district session, an update to hazard mitigation, and potentially a light pollution zoning change. Our environmental planner, David Morgan, is here this evening to answer any questions and provide further information.
So I believe that we discussed these at our retreat. Let me just pull those notes up. But Jean, I'll turn it over to you first to see if you have any specific.
I'd be happy to hear what David has to say about the environmental article.
Okay, and again, we're looking for a brief overview for the three that are proposed, please.
Sure. I have the floodplain district first. I'll pull that document up and walk you through the changes there. These are changes that are required by FEMA for eligibility for Arlington to remain in the National Flood Insurance Program. Last year at this time, we received notice that we were approved to incorporate this new language, but it had arrived too late for submission for town meeting to get a warrant article and get before this board and others in order to clarify all the requirements. So what we wound up doing was putting it in a special set of regulations for the Conservation Commission to enforce for a year. And now that will sunset when we adopt this as a zoning ordinance again. The current bylaw remains in force and effect. It's just that we're delegating the responsibility to Concom for the time being for enforcement. So The changes that they're requiring of us include the stated local purpose for flood resilient standards. That's just basically the preamble, has some updated language specifying where the flood maps can be accessed by the public. There's a section on a definition of terms. They've added about 12 or 15 terms that need clarification and definition. Designation of the community floodplain administrator, that's me. It's already in my job description. It's just being spelled out in the bylaw. Requirements of all permits for proposed development in the floodplain overlay district. This is nothing really special. It doesn't change any of ARB's procedures. There are no new requirements. It all just falls on the sort of onus of the special permit. Statement prohibiting floodway encroachment. We already prohibit construction in the floodways. Requirements for review of subdivision proposals, not an issue in Arlington. Requirements for elevation and anchoring of recreational vehicles in the flood zones. That is something that conservation already deals with and can enforce around. So the fact of it being in the bylaws is just sort of a rear guard to allow inspectional services to do the same. Requirement to notify appropriate officials of any alteration or relocation of a water course, and likewise to notify FEMA of data that changes the base flood elevations. These are processes that we have been through with the Conservation Commission in the past. Applicants will sometimes seek to be in or out of the flood zone depending on their position, and we can go through that process with them. Variances for building code floodplain standards and zoning bylaws. There are very few exemptions and variances, I believe, right now. I'm not going to go into it for the sake of time, but that is part of it. Abrogation and greater restriction section and disclaimer of liability. These are, points of legalese toward the end of the bylaw, customary sorts of things. That is it. We, again, were approved by DCR. Their floodplain manager oversees the implementation process for the new language. So effectively, this would be, I don't want to overstate it, but it's effectively a copy-paste job to go from the existing Conservation Commission version of these regulations to the zoning bylaw with some tweaks to, make it format correctly and fit in the right sections.
Okay. Steve?
So just so I have it clearly, this is basically FEMA requirements so that we can remain in the National Flood Insurance Program, and people like me who have flood insurance can continue to have flood insurance.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we should do it this year.
Any personal interest?
None whatsoever. Yes, yes, there is personal interest. Thank
You
you.
won't be able to vote on it, to be quite honest.
No, you can't.
Well, we'll have to review that. Next one, hazard mitigation update.
We would need to, this won't happen this year.
Okay.
We'll
Then
need to do that next year.
Great. And then the last one I have is a light pollution zoning change.
Yeah, there is a section in the industrial, actually I have it here. It's actually under other districts. I've lost my place, I'm sorry. Here it is. Section 5.3.23. I'm going out of order. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me reset. Section 5.6.2 D4 is where this lighting section lives now. It's under other districts. Like I said, it's a lighting regulation that applies only in the industrial districts. I've spoken with members Revelak and Benson previously about the prospect of putting this in the residential and commercial districts. And so the proposal would be to effectively move this language out from where it's applied only to industrial districts to the more general section that applies to all districts. And the proposal would be to create section 5.3.23 of the zoning bylaw. We'd call it lighting, presumably, because that's what the current section is called. And this just reinforces consistency with the requirements of Title V, Article 14. It's our dark skies bylaw. It has requirements about having all light be downcast, at least 75-degree cutoff or fully shielded, and also talks about lighting for walkways or parking lots to be adequately spaced for even light distribution. Finally, minimizing overspill onto adjacent property. If there is a new version of the dark skies bylaw that comes through this town meeting, it would supersede some of these requirements, such as the one about overspill. So that is potentially something that you could strip out of this language.
Do you anticipate that this year? Is that why you mention it?
Yes.
I think we didn't resolve whether it made more sense to change the zoning bylaw or to change.
Jean, can you speak into the mic, please?
I'm sorry. We didn't resolve whether it made more sense to change the zoning bylaw or go with the current existing town dark sky. And it seems to me like if there's going to be a change to the town dark sky, why don't we let that go through and then see whether we need to do anything else with the zoning bylaw?
That's reasonable. I'm thinking that in the absence of changes to the dark skies bylaw, it would still be useful to have process around how the commercial, residential, and industrial applications get evaluated.
Yeah, it's sort of harder with zoning because we tend to only see them when they show up here, you know?
Ken?
I say hold them for now till we wait. Dark sky comes in and see how it goes.
I would agree. I think let's take up the floodplain district item of the three.
Sounds like a plan.
this year. Steve?
Concur.
Okay, great.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
Okay, Claire, you sent an item related to changes to the signage bylaw. Can you top line that item? I know that we all received Katie's memo, so I think just a high-level overview would suffice, and then we can turn that over to the board to discuss.
Sure. Katie Lusai is also here this evening if the board members have any questions. I think what we are looking to do is make changes to the sign bylaw to make it easier for business owners to use and understand. I don't have Ms. Lusai's memo immediately in front of me. I know at least one of the changes is to allow for cabinet signage. Again, I think that there are other changes that are related to dimensional requirements, especially the corner installation of signage on corner properties. Generally, I would refer you back to Ms. Lusai's memo.
Great, thank you very much. I do not agree with removing cabinet signs from the list of prohibited signs. I think that they were, I know they were added there for a reason, and I don't think that they're appropriate in Arlington. I'm not sure that this is something that we need to address this year, the other items, but I'll be interested in the other members' thoughts on this. Ken?
Well, I tend to agree with you, but what's generating this change? Has there been a lot of requests from business owners to make this change, or has this come up in signage permits and everything else that created this as an issue?
Katie, if you'd like to come and answer that question, that would be great.
For specifically cabinet signs, or are you asking about all of these?
All of these.
I mean, I think before Katie, it looks like she has referenced where there has been one item. So for example, under 7, there was one applicant who was looking to install a new sign. Same under number 6, there was one who was,
If it's only one, I don't think it's worth it, but
This is a number of various changes to the sign bylaw that have come up a number of times based on the several years that I've been reviewing sign permit applications. I've only provided 1 or 2 examples just for the sake of tonight's conversation. I don't feel particularly, precious about certain items. So, for example, the cabinet signs. We can walk through them one by one, but I am cognizant of the time we have here. For the cabinet signs, there have been, I would say, 3 or 4 applications of businesses who have requested cabinet signs, largely because they are not aware that we prohibit cabinet signs. It is just another option for those businesses. Wall signs tend to be sufficient. We don't have to necessarily go into each and every item, but
I think let's go through the other members of the board and see what other ones we might want to take up this year.
Yeah, number one, I think this is a terrific memo with all of the attachments, so thank you so much for doing them. And I think we do have an opportunity to make some rational changes to the sign bylaw that will help businesses in town and that won't sort of harm, what it looks like to go downtown. So I went through all of these. So traffic visibility at intersections and the example you gave of marathon sports. I think there's another option, which is if the building's already there, just let them put the sign up on the wall. I wouldn't want to reduce the area because there was at least one place where they would have sort of put a freestanding sign into the visibility area, which I thought was a bad idea. But with Marathon, I think the alternative change, which you didn't mention, would be just if there's an existing building there, let them put the sign up on the building. That was that. I don't have a strong feeling about cabinet signs, except there are some already in town. And Katie, I guess, gave us a photo of a couple at least. And some people have asked, and I don't find them particularly a bad thing to have in town. So I'm okay with that. I don't think we can allow the exception for electronic Massachusetts lottery signs because of First Amendment issues. We can't only allow one sort of type of thing to advertise with electronic signs without allowing all of them to advertise. So I think that is a real problem if we would just allow it for one type of advertisement. The marquee, allowing the marquees to be electronic, I think is a great idea as long as they're not flashing or, changing every so often, but if they're solid. If they're flashing or changing, I think it becomes a real traffic hazard, but I think if it's done the right way, it would be great. I didn't really understand revise all references to neighborhood office district, so I'll pass that one by. If we allow canopy and projecting signs in the residential business district, we should probably allow them in the regular business district freestanding, which you recommend for the residential business, but also aren't allowed in the business district. So if we allow them for one, we should allow them for both. Yeah, we need to limit the number of A-frame signs. But I don't think any of them should be allowed on the sidewalk. So I would agree with the one, and I would say not on public property, because right now the bylaw does allow them on private property. And I've seen them like block half of a sidewalk. So I like the idea of one, but I would add to it not on a public sidewalk. So I think these are mostly good ideas, and I think they're worth putting together in a package.
Thank you.
So the three that are not the cabinet sign that I captured that you were interested in moving forward with the discussion around the electronic message board and displays for marquee signs with administrative approval, the projecting sign, and add the business districts and the A-frame.
Right, and no, you conflated two. Allow the projecting sign type in the business district. Limit the A-frame to
I had those
one.
as two.
Yeah, those are two separate.
Yeah, sorry, I did list those as two.
Oh, okay.
I did not take a long enough breath between them.
So the ones that I would say we don't have to do any of them, but the one I'd prefer, we not doing is the cabinet signs and the exception for electronic Massachusetts lottery signs, but allow them for marquees.
Okay, Steve?
So regarding, so I agree with Mr. Benson that the allowance for lottery signs is probably going to run into Reed versus Gilbert.
Yep, that's it. Very good, Steve.
I help. Yep. Anyway, so I agree. We maybe that one sets. The traffic visibility one. I think that 623A3. If that were rewritten to read like 623A2. So, okay, so backing up, 623A says general location restrictions, except where specifically authorized in this section, signs may not be placed in the following locations. All right, so sub 2 says you can't put a sign in any location that obstructs a view of any authorized traffic sign, signal, or other traffic control device. So 3 could just say, in any location that obstructs the visibility of traffic. And then you're rather than just drawing out triangles and, there's no height component because if the thing is 10 feet up in the air, it's not really interfering. Just say so it doesn't interfere with traffic visibility.
I think that's going to be subjective.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that
that
being
gets
too subjective
real-
under administrative approval.
So if that is subjective, then I would suggest going, I don't know the section offhand, but the traffic there's a section in 5.3 something or other that deals with visibility around corners. But the gist is that you can't have anything protruding in the so-called triangle between the heights of 3 feet and 7 feet. So I think it would be reasonable and not subjective to restrict in the vertical visibility area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Ken?
I think it's fine if we had time.
I wouldn't prioritize these.
I just think there's so many more things that
I would agree.
we have on the plate right now. These are all good points, but I just don't think we.
Well, if I were to ask one question is, are the two theaters wanting to do this now? Is it something that would help them? So they don't fall off the ladders and break their necks and things you mentioned.
I do ask because specifically it's come up in the last year with the Regent Theater. Since it is under new ownership, considering what the marquee could look like for the future, not just because of, in addition to the, more occupational safety
We
hazards.
should go ahead with that one then.
Marquee
Yeah, the marquee.
only?
Can we just give them a waiver if it's just one?
No, we're not allowed to give waivers.
Okay.
Provide relief. That would
We
be.
can't provide relief. We should just change the sign bylaw.
And again, I'll note, we're still looking at,
We need to really carefully write that language because I am concerned about other digital
But we could do it just for marquees over theaters.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We'd have to be very tight with the language.
I'm working very closely with the Regent Theater to find very specific options to make sure it's very appropriate given the historical nature of the theater, both theaters.
Right. That's my other concern is what this looks like within the context of both of the
Exactly.
the theaters.
Yeah.
Okay. So one that we would prioritize is the marquee signs with the A-frame and the projecting signs as a second priority. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item was the compliant officer discussion, Claire.
Yes. Generally, when we are in the budgeting cycle, which happens from about in September and October, that is the time to request additional positions. I have repeatedly requested additional position every year since I've been here, and have it is not been supported, as part of the general budgeting process. I'm not sure how this might work as a warrant article. I think I would have to talk with the law department more specifically about what that may look like.
Right, and again, I don't think that this was proposed as a warrant article, but that, again, it was identified at the retreat that this should be, that we would like to see it on the warrant as part of the budget for this year. But it sounds like that was not able to be accommodated this year, so we will keep requesting it on the department's behalf.
Absolutely, thank you.
Into the future.
Appreciate your support.
Okay. And then the next was a request for consultant funding for the Arlington Heights Business District.
I believe that is an appropriation that we could certainly request. I think we have pursued grant funding for this project to really no avail. This is something that has not been included as part of the planning budget. Most of the planning budget that I receive through CDBG funds has been dedicated over the last 2 years at least to the comprehensive plan project. I think that a request for an appropriation makes sense if that's what the board and the Heights Business District Committee feels is necessary.
Ken?
I'm on the fence on this one here. Just with the budget crisis the town has right now and the hiring freeze and so forth, but then this would also be generating income too. That could potentially generate more income in the future. So it's, I'm not sure. I'm on the fence about this one.
Gene?
I mean, is this is part of the regular budget, so it would either be in the town manager's budget or not?
No, this would be a specific designated request.
A request for an appropriation from town meeting.
Not unlike funding has been requested in the past for items like the
commercial design guidelines.
Commercial design guidelines. I believe you had a consultant for the AMP Up
Comprehensive plan, yes.
Correct. Plan project. So this would be in that vein.
Ah,
I hear Ken's point as well.
I mean, it's really hard to ask when the town's going to ask
Correct.
for another big.
Right. So this, we may need to make do with the resources, the limited resources that are available currently to the redevelopment board by the town.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so we'll
Hold.
well, we're going to keep moving with the project, so we just unfortunately won't have those resources available to us if we don't ask town meeting for them. Okay, let's see, and I think that takes us through, I'll go back up to update the bike parking table by adding multifamily housing. Claire?
Great, thank you. I don't know, Rachel, if you have notes on
I do not.
this. I believe this came out of our retreat. I don't have notes on this. I don't know, Steve, if you have any thoughts or you know the genesis of this?
I was slightly puzzled by the inclusion of it. I
Something
think,
that's necessary.
All right.
I think we can skip this.
Okay.
Can I add something to that? Maybe that was part of it. I was thinking maybe we can revisit the bicycle parking in mixed-use buildings, having to be on the first floor. Maybe put it such that maybe one during the special permit review, the ARB has some rights to allow it if there's elevated, if it's an elevated building, so.
We can do that now.
Yeah, we do that regularly.
It doesn't have to be on the first floor,
So we can put it on the lower floor.
as long as, and we've approved a
Ramp it.
couple where they've had ramps. So we
Okay,
can-
because this way, I think it's binding where there's not enough commercial space.
We haven't, they're not required to be on the first floor.
Okay, then take it back. Never mind.
Perfect. Okay. And then the last one related to the Department of Planning and Community Development, we received a memo from the Multifamily Housing Overlay District, who asked us to review current proposed zoning provisions. Per our last meeting, I don't believe that we are there yet for the affordable housing overlay, but we have received that memo. And I know that we are looking to schedule the Arlington, the Affordable Housing Overlay Committee to meet with the Redevelopment Board in February. So, Jean, I will start the discussion off with you related to the memo.
Oh, I thought we were meeting with them tonight.
No, we don't have room on the agenda, so we had asked them for a memo. That wasn't, that was
Okay.
not discussed to have a meeting tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of great work that went into the memo. I really appreciated the draft change to the bylaws. There were a number of things that I would need to talk to the committee about and understand why they were there, because I had some serious questions about them. I don't know if you want me to go into all of them, but they included, for example, the height of the buildings, especially in the more residential neighborhoods, which I think might be too high, and that was the reason when we did the MBTA overlay, we lowered the heights in the residential neighborhoods. I'm concerned about some of the industrial parcels that are on the list. I'm not as concerned about the business parcels, because I understand that might be some of the best places for them. I think this came up before. I think some of the locations are terrific. I'm going to have trouble with the locations where people can't walk to Broadway or Mass Ave within about 15 minutes of the locations, because you're suggesting a 50% reduction in the amount of cars that are allowed, and that means people, need other ways to get places. So I'm also a little concerned with the, one parking space for every other one, and relying on the information from the Arlington Housing Authority, because one of the important things you told us last time was the AHA has the lowest income folks, and they're less likely to be able to afford to own cars, whereas folks who are going to be in these places can be like 80% of median income, and they're more likely to have cars. So I have some concern about what you're trying to do to limit the amount of parking spaces under those circumstances. And there were a few other things. I think it's it's really in the right direction. I think it's really something that the town should be doing, but I think the details of what would work and what would be acceptable for town meeting need to be a discussion.
Steve?
Sure. I'm going to try to, because the memo was kind enough to include some questions, I'm going to try to zip through and provide you at least my answers. So in these, but with a couple of other comments. So in 593, there's a sentence that says site plan may include but not be limited to. When the AG reviewed our MBTA Communities Act language, they flagged the phrase "but not limited to," stating that an unbounded set of criteria was not compatible with by right development. So I consider striking that. Regarding the properties, Leader Plaza and Brookline Bank, there are two adjacent parcels that are also owned by 864 Mass Ave LLC. You might want to consider adding those because it's effectively one big parcel. I have a bunch of questions about 594G2, but I will save those for later. I think the mixed use provision is fine as is. I understand the issue with asset classes. I don't think a mixed use bonus is necessary. I happen to be comfortable with half a parking space because that is my understanding is that is the Housing Corporation of Arlington's current utilization.
AHA.
Yeah, no, HCA.
No, I think it said AHA. Which is it? HCA. HCA, okay.
Okay. I think like the 6 stories on the corridor district, using corridor and neighborhood districts, I think makes sense, and I think 6 stories is appropriate on the corridors, and I guess we'll have a discussion about what the neighborhood districts are. I think it's fine to stick with setbacks as a dimensional governance for yards, because I don't think a separate open space requirement is necessary. In Arlington, land costs run into the millions of dollars an acre, so the yards are a luxury item, and I understand the trade-off that you're trying to make here. I think it would make sense to reduce side yard setbacks to when a parcel abuts a B&I district, and I would keep the 10-foot setback for the corridor district. I know I just said that there's a trade-off here, but I think having a 10-foot setback or some setback will make it a little more palatable to That's all I have.
I forgot some things I just wanted to mention.
I just want to make sure it's clear what our goal is tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So is this going to get to town meeting this year? And we have some distance to cover before it will. And we have already talked to the Housing Overlay Committee about coming in February to do a meeting where we can address.
I was not aware of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought I was clear on that, but I was not clear
I
enough
missed that.
clearly
My
once
apologies.
she started talking. So I just want to be clear about what tonight is versus what February is.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Three quick things. There will be a lot of kids living in these places, I hope, and they need places to play outside. And I'm a little bit concerned when there are almost no setbacks, there are no places for the kids to play. And even Monotony Manor, which is our only sort of family place, has places for kids to play. And I would hate for us to end up with new affordable housing buildings that go up to the setbacks and there are no places for the kids to play nearby. That concerns me. I don't think you put anything from the schools on the list of locations, if I remember correctly, and at least 2 of the schools over the decades were sold and are now condos, so it might make sense to add the school committee parcels to the list. I had forgotten to mention that before. Thank you for clarifying the HCA parking. I had forgotten that. But the HCA parking's all right, on Mass Ave, on their places right on Mass Ave. You might want to have, 1 parking space for every 2 units if it's within, a 15-minute walk of Mass Ave or something like that, but if it's farther away, I think it needs to be a higher number. Finally, and this is going to be the most controversial, sorry I mentioned this as the last one, but I forgot it. You know, what I think we're finding with a lot of the developments that come our way is they really, really need a lot of work. And the best way to have that lot of work is special permits rather than site plan review. So I think this would work much better as a special permit project rather than as a right site plan.
Yep, and I just want to piggyback onto that, Jean. I agree with you, and that's where I think, again, we have a lot of work to do still on this. So between that, again, I would agree with Jean about not including the industrial districts, some of the locations in the business district. Russell Commons is, I would take that off the table. We have a much more comprehensive opportunity to include housing, commercial, business, and municipal programming there. But there's a lot of work about the stories. It's too tall what's proposed right now. I'm concerned about SROs. There's just a lot for us to go through. And we can start, I think at our next meeting in February, we can designate some time to be able to do that.
And even like the assisted living, which is one of the options, that needs much fewer parking. So just having a blanket, one space for every two doesn't work. It depends on a lot of factors.
Ken, anything else high level before we?
Highest level I've thought is I agree. I don't think this is ready for this year's warrant article. And a lot more discussion needs to be had. We've only met once, and we have a pretty well worked out memo, and I think it was really well written. But we still there's still a lot of topics that we still need to talk about, and I want to talk about some of those. And let's not talk about it now. Let's wait till the next meeting.
Perfect. Okay, the next item, Claire, that you had on the list was the multifamily housing overlay district. There were a list of items that you had listed here.
Sure. I apologize. I don't have notes on these items, and I am not sure. I think this came out of our retreat. There were several notes that came out of the minutes from the retreat, and I think this is one of them. I would have to get back to the board with clarification about what exactly all these different items mean with regard to the multifamily housing overlay district. Perhaps this is something that we should hold on until next year.
Except for the last bullet, which we should do this.
Oh,
year.
yes. Excuse me. We should remove the language that refers to EOHLC approval.
Because we got it.
In 584G, because we did end up receiving approval for our economic feasibility analysis ultimately.
Great, thank you. Ken, any other items from this list that you would want to move forward? And I think that was a fairly administrative change, obviously, removing the EOHLC
No.
designation. Okay, Steve?
It may, so because we are wrestling with differences of opinion on the bonus provisions, I would throw out the idea of, minor changes so that we all agree on the interpretation.
I agree if we can all agree.
Yes,
yes.
I don't know that we're in a place where that's feasible.
But if not, then, it can wait until another time.
Ken?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we're going to agree on a difference of opinion.
Well, it's not what we have to agree on is what we want them to mean.
Right.
And you did want to get that all done and then clarified and pushes ahead?
I think the clarifications will be pretty straightforward, but if we're going to do,
I would prefer to just move ahead with the EOHLC
Okay, that's fine too.
items. Unless, can you feel otherwise?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. The next item is, Jean, these were two from you. Hold on, let's see.
Which ones?
The location of the minimum, or the clarification of the minimum drive aisle or driveway. These
Yeah,
came
this
from you
just-
from our retreat?
Right, no, this just came up at the last meeting where everybody said,
Oh, you
we-
emailed this one to me. Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
we should just change it from 24 feet to 22 feet if that's what we want to approve.
But it's the drive aisle between parking spaces, not the driveway.
That's correct,
I just want to make sure it's clear.
right. Yep, and yeah, there's a chart that we can use for that.
Okay.
I have a small thought on that.
Steve?
Yeah, so over the weekend, I went through a couple of neighboring community zoning bylaws and looked at what they do for drive aisle width. Cambridge uses 22 feet. Somerville and Medford use 20. Watertown and Malden use 24. Melrose did something interesting. They use 20 feet for residential and mixed use and 24 for all other uses. Because we keep finding like parking to be, sort of the push and pull between commercial space. I kind of like the way they split the difference and used the smaller for, the mixed use and residential and just kept it 24 for the, for all other uses. I think that's worth considering.
I was parked at Burlington Mall last week, and I have a compact car, right? And I came out and parked next to me was this like pickup truck that was probably twice as long as my car, and it's like somebody's personal vehicle. It wasn't a work vehicle.
So it sounds like we don't yet
Crazy.
have consensus, but we can work through that during the warrant article hearing process, and that a modification to the parking requirements in 6.1.11.C3 is something that we would want to take up and debate what specifically that is.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I had given people a memo with some proposed minor changes to the parking rules to make it clear that they apply in the multifamily overlay district. So I can send that to you again, Rachel, if you don't have it.
Sure.
Okay.
And make sure that that goes to,
That's part of the add MF overlay district to parking requirements for clarity.
that's two separate articles.
Yes.
Okay, let me separate this. Okay, yep, if you provide the language, then we can,
Send it to you.
yep, then we can review that at our next meeting. Jean,
I'll
yes.
send it to Claire, too.
Great, thank you. Okay, and the next items we should go through are the ZBA articles. So, Christian. Thank you for submitting these. I know we exchanged some initial feedback based
Absolutely.
on the board's discussion of these articles in at our annual retreat in September. So the first was the definition of a half story, and this really has to do with how you're seeing a half story interpreted.
Exactly. So the intent behind half-story definition is it's usually applied in Arlington. You have a house that has a gabled or a hipped or whatever roof. You have a small dormer coming off the roof. That makes it a half-story. What we're seeing a lot more now are attempts to create some kind of strange roof structure that meets the technical definition to keep it a half story while creating what's effectively an entire third story. And there is nothing in the bylaws that's written today that precludes doing that. We're also seeing structures where it is a two-story structure and a full third story over half the floor below. And so the question that the board has is that it's our understanding that this is really not what the town wants, and that we're looking for guidance from either from the ARB or from town meeting as to whether there should be a change to how we define these in order to get the results that I think we are more consistently looking for as were determined by the residential design guidelines.
Do you have a proposal?
At this point, no, because we're sort of struggling a little bit with this, and what we don't want to end up doing is I think you had sort of alluded to earlier, is having a lot of things that are on the agenda for town meeting, and this just gets sort of lost in the shuffle. So I think from the board's perspective, it would be better to have a more sort of considered approach to this, looking towards 27.
So one of my recommendations, and I think we might have talked about this at the retreat, was to look, if there is more of a design guideline required, is this one of the areas where we talk about some sort of a hybrid form-based code definition where we are providing some sort of a diagrammatic guidance and set of options within the zoning bylaw. But that is something that we would need to obviously target 2027 and have some more conversations around.
Kristen, when you're talking about, are they coming up with like mansards as another floor, or?
It's not mansards, it's strange trusses.
I think I've seen a few of them. I happen to think it was kind of a cool thing, but basically think of, let's say you had a 3-story building, and you take
Steve, I just want to, are we getting into solving it, or
yeah,
are we
so yeah,
deciding whether or not we're moving forward with it?
I would punt on this one.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. So I agree that we should have more conversation over the next year, but it sounds like not for this town meeting. Okay. The next one is the option for additional height or stories for relief for houses in the FEMA zone.
So this had come up because if you are doing work on your house and you are in the FEMA flood zone, you are required, your lowest level of habitation has to be above the mean flood zone. And so it basically means that your basement can't be habitable and you can't sort of lower your house in order to gain that space. And so we were looking to modify the definition of building height so that when you're within that area, you can consider the mean flood elevation as the base elevation rather than the mean grade of the site.
Do you have a proposal in terms of language for this article?
I can prepare you one.
Okay. Ken?
I'm okay moving this one ahead.
Is this just for new construction, or what,
So basically, just if somebody's doing work on their house and the question about the building height comes into question, it just allows them to, rather than lose a great portion of their house because of the flood elevation might be 2 feet above the street or something.
So it might be renovation of addition.
So it might be renovation, it might be addition.
As opposed to
exactly.
New, because there's one, I've forgotten what street it's on, that is, it's sort of like on stilts, but it's only 2 stories.
Correct.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I thought, well, if they could go up more, they'd be towering over all the other houses. And that's not necessarily the best answer.
So that's part of the question is, by living in the flood zone, do you sacrifice the number of stories that you're allowed to have?
Yeah, I come back with a proposal, I guess.
Absolutely.
Well, there is another aspect to that, is people who are in a flood zone that would like to raise their house, and there's not, the house is 2 stories or 2 1/4 stories, but you run up against a height limit and you can't get you can't get above the BFE.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay. So that one we will see proposed language before our next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, great. The next one is around fair housing law and accessibility. I think that there was the question around whether or not this, how this needed to be modified, so.
Yeah, so exactly. And after further conversations, we think that this is something that we should put off to 27, but it's something that the town more appropriately should be looking at, because this is really not something that's for the ARB or for the Zoning Board of Appeals. This is really something that's basic town policy.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then the next item that we had is around the application of the tree bylaw when requesting a second driveway.
Yep, and this is, it's already in the zoning bylaw, so this is really a matter for discussion with the select board as to whether this should be in the tree bylaws. It is in the town bylaws.
Okay. Great, so the one that we will move forward with is the option for the additional height or number of stories of relief within the FEMA zone.
Okay.
Did I miss anything?
There were a few others.
I apologize if I missed.
No, that's okay. There were some of them that you had previously identified as things that you were wanting to pass on, so that's
Why they didn't make the list.
Yeah, so one was about home occupation, which is being covered under a different article, so
Yes,
we'll
there's a
allow that to
citizen
go forward.
petition that's moving forward for that.
There was a fair thing. There was a series, there were a couple involving the question about duplexes and common walls and how we make that definition. That's something that needs further discussion, so that would be also something for 27.
That would be great.
There was about usable open space, but again, we'll need to discuss that further. And then lot coverage, we decided we were not going to touch. There was a question about enclosure of porches. This is one that has become much more common before the Board of Appeals. It used to be that if you had a porch at the front of your house, you could enclose it by right. That was changed by town meeting sometime within the last 5 years, and now it requires a special permit. So we're receiving a large number of special permits to enclose porches. These are porches that are within the existing front yard setback, and so the dilemma that the board is having is what's the difference between enclosing a porch and just doing an addition in the setback. And this is something where, just because of the language that's being used in the bylaw, we think that it's appropriate for some further discussion and consideration as to what the town really wants, so that the board is doing what what the town is looking for the board to do.
Do you have proposed language on this item?
This is something that I would love to refer to some kind of a committee or some study group to just sort of really consider as to what it is we really are intending this to achieve.
Okay, so it sounds like this item and the definition of half-story, that there may be a couple that we can pull apart aside committee to work on for 2027.
That'd be great.
Perfect. How are we approaching this going forward?
And that was all of them.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Okay. And then Claire, the last couple that we have on this list, none of these are ARB articles, correct? They are petitions. We have the home occupation clarification, which we have met with the applicants on previously, fences and traffic visibility.
This is one that you saw, excuse me, Madam Chair, this is one that you saw last year. The proponent, the ARB ultimately did not decide to take up the article. The proponent wishes to make another presentation to the ARB potentially at your next meeting, as she intends to try to pursue this zoning warrant article again.
Can I just mention for that, she called me or emailed me or something about it, and I said it was last year in part.
Last year, yeah.
It was inspectional services that thought this was a really bad idea.
Right.
So I thought she should spend some time talking to Mike Champa about it.
Right, and I do know we have a full agenda for our next meeting, so I think if they, this individual wanted to come in front of us, we'd be looking into February.
Okay. All right.
Would anyone I mean, it's not an article that the board is going to take up, so if it is a
Correct.
citizen petition, we would need to move that into February.
End of February to offer feedback,
Well,
or at least to take
At that
do the
point,
hearing.
we'd be into hearings.
Right.
So
Be doing the hearing.
just, it's a little,
Okay.
fortunately, we have a lot of development happening in town, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, it limits our.
Limits our time.
Our ability right now. Okay, and then we'd already spoken regarding the Norcross and Gardner. This is a citizen petition, correct? Is there anything further on this one, Claire?
No, I don't believe so, although Mr. McKenna is here tonight to answer questions. Okay. Great.
Okay,
Can I just, my one thought about.
please speak into the
My
microphone.
one thought about that, Steve, after looking at the locations and your memo, is to suggest you think about whether R3 would be a better solution than R2, because you already have some 3 families there, and R3 has smaller lot sizes and I think slightly smaller frontage. So you may go with R2. I'm just suggesting do a comparison of R2 and R3 to see which works better.
As far as I know, there's only one R3.
But you could,
Okay.
just a suggestion.
Great. Thank you.
And, I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
And then, Madam Chair, we have with us this evening Mary Winstanley O'Connor, who is representing a developer looking at the St. Camillus property and a potential rezoning for Attorney O'Connor wrote the board a memo describing the potential for 4 alternate zoning changes that would allow for development of a senior assisted living facility on the site.
And these were taken in, it was 2 pairs, correct? It's, yes.
in the alternative.
Right,
If I
right.
could just, you want me to go to?
Please, yeah. And you were looking for your client to submit this as the petitioner, correct? And are
Yes,
looking for
yes,
ARB
with board
feedback?
We'd like board, feedback and on this as well. So I represent HYM Investment and ESL. The gentlemen are all here this evening. We looked at, they had been in communication with St. Camillus for quite a period of time. And if you know the location, it's the very large lot before you get to the church. It would be subdivided. It is not, that's why there's that lengthy description of the property.
Right.
It's a 4.5 acre site. So when we looked at this, as you know, R6 permits assisted living. But if we went the R6 route, what they're proposing is to do a development that blends with the neighborhood so that it looks similar to houses with sloped roofs and things. They could do something with a flat roof. They don't want to do that. They want it to blend into the neighborhood. So they need more height there. And actually what I provided you was we would propose to change the zoning, which is an R1, to an R6. This is option number 1. And amend the dimensional and density section to assisted living residences of more than 20,000 square feet. It would have to be, and the architect is here, 50 feet, 3 stories, 1.2 FAR because of the sloped roof and the way it's measured. We have met with the town manager, the assistant town manager, Director Ricker, Assistant Director Suarez, as well as Mr. Champa, the fire chief, on this, and several of the selectmen. They're very excited about this type of project. The other alternative was to do an R7, and it would come under any permitted principal structure, which would mean we'd need to change the use regulations, class of use, to add assisted living residence by special permit. It would be by special permit and subject to environmental design review, but it would require not only a change to the zoning map, but a change to the language in the bylaw, whichever route is gone here, whichever route is the better preferred route to go. So that's, we don't have an issue with whichever route is selected. It's just that the height, I mean, it's a little unusual because at my single family, and I live on Concord Turnpike, and my single family home can go up to 35 feet in height. And if you look at the R6, it's 35 feet for 3 stories for townhouses, apartment buildings, or, you know, other type structures. So this is, would be a they only want to do 3 stories, but they want to make sure that it blends with the neighborhood. So that's the height issue.
Great, thank you very much. Jean, I'll get to you first.
I need to think about this more. I didn't have the context before.
Sure. They have a photo if you'd like to see it, so what they build and what it looks like, which may give you some context.
I didn't have the context of even what you just said.
Oh, okay.
What was I going to ask you? Is it the entire site, or is the site?
No, what will happen is, as you go up Concord Turnpike, you come to the large open lot, and there's the rectory there. It would be that area. The church would remain. The church felt it very important that the setback from Concord Turnpike be far enough back so the church would still be significantly visible from the highway. So the church will remain. They will continue to have the requisite parking, and they own the lot across the street where they have the overflow parking. So the church will remain. So this would, too, put a significant parcel that is not on the tax rolls back on the tax rolls.
Thanks.
So where are the buses parked, right?
Yes, that's exactly where the buses park now.
Okay.
Steve?
Yeah, I understand the dilemma. R7 gives you the right dimensions, but you don't have the use, and R6 is the exact opposite.
You've got it, Steve. Exactly.
I don't have strong feelings one way or another. Though I might, if I had to pick one, I would be more inclined to add dimensional regulations for an assisted use facility in R6.
It is in R6. The assisted.
Well, but I mean, adjust the
height and the.
Yes,
yeah, okay,
yeah.
right.
Dimensional,
sure,
right?
okay.
Yeah, you have the use, but
Yeah,
the
we don't have the
dimensional.
dimensions.
Yeah,
Correct.
make that change.
Is there any other way of doing this without doing a zoning map change?
No, because
Not a zoning map change.
it's a district change. It's a changing from an R1 to an R6 or an R7.
Yeah, that's been involved
Right.
zoning map.
Yeah, there's no other way. It can go in a B3, but I don't think we're talking B3 in that residential district.
Right.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
Yeah, no, we looked at all
You know
alternatives.
what's entitled with the zoning map.
Entailed, yeah, what you have to do.
And this has been sent to town council, so I'm waiting for him to opine as well and give me some feedback.
Yeah, I would agree with Steve. I think both are valid ways of looking at it, but R6 seems to be the more street. It seems to align a bit.
Well, you know, if
More
we all
succinctly.
thought this was a really good idea for the town, we could file the petition, which would relieve them of some of the burden of notice. I
just don't think that they have been studying it for quite some time, and this is our first, it is
Right,
2 weeks
so-
before the
2
warrant
weeks, right,
closes,
we can't
and
do that in 2
we
weeks.
are just learning of this tonight. So I don't know that
Yep,
that
you're right.
is feasible for the redevelopment board. You know, had we talked about it sooner, perhaps.
Yeah, and I think that, with R6, there are a couple of smaller scale things allowed that might work as incidental to to an assisted living facility, where R7 doesn't quite have those, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Claire, were there any that we have not covered?
We do have a representative from the Housing Corporation of Arlington here this evening with a request with a request of the board for feedback regarding a potential project at 840, 846 Mass Ave. No, excuse me. Just a general question. Okay.
Okay, I know we don't have that on the,
Do we want to do it in open forum?
what kind of feedback? I'm cognizant of time, and that's not on our agenda this evening.
Okay.
I was not aware of that, and I would like to wrap us up, and we do need to kind of recap. No, yeah. So is it a question for the board about I mean, we don't have any materials for this. Is this about a potential warrant article that the petitioner is submitting? I have no knowledge about this, and it's not on the agenda, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I don't have, we don't have it on the agenda. Okay. Is it about a zoning warrant article that you're looking to submit?
Yes, it's a warrant article, but I think,
Is it?
sounds like,
Yeah.
yeah, if it's a warrant article to make sure this is that, something that could go to town meeting before the end of January deadline, so if
Right.
that's not going to be feasible.
I'm sorry, we don't have it on our agenda for this evening.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let me go back to our list of what we do have on our agenda so that we can run through and make sure that we have a path forward for those that we decided to move forward with. So those that we are moving forward with are the technical corrections related to ADUs, removing the certified mail requirement, and a change to first-class mail notification, removing the language related to the EOHLC from the multifamily housing overlay district, a change to the drive aisle or driveway width, drive aisle width. Oh, Jean, I screwed this one up. What was It
was some well, turned off, I took it off my
Yeah,
computer.
I copied the same one twice. I apologize. I'll have to go back and,
It was some changes to the parking things to incorporate the neighborhood multifamily district.
Correct.
let me pull that
Clarify.
language and I'll pull it back in. Give me 1 second.
I also had one here. Are we updating the bike parking table by adding multifamily housing to it?
So that's what
No.
that's what we had said we were not going to do.
Okay, that's all, okay, fine.
So we didn't know what that meant.
Okay, and you're providing language, Jean, on all of those?
On the ones that I had done, I don't remember which ones they were.
Okay, so the drive aisle, is
It's
that,
not mine.
that
No.
is Department of Planning and Community Development language? Okay. Okay, Jean, yours is the parking requirements.
Mm-hmm, right.
I'm just going to go back up to the prior ones as well. The change to the first-class mail, that's, Claire, you're doing that language?
Yes.
and the removal of the EOHLC.
Correct.
Okay. The floodplain items, that is being provided by the Department of Planning and Community Development. Okay. The marquee signage language, that has already been provided per our memo.
Well, we might want to amend it a little bit to make it clear it's not flashing and moving pictures and things like that.
Yes. Are we doing the freestanding projecting and A-frame? That was an open question once we looked at what we had on the plate.
I think we should do the old A-frame.
Yep.
To both limit the number, which was suggested by Katie.
Yep.
But also say they can't be on the public sidewalk.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Katie?
Yep.
Although they are.
Yeah.
Right. And again, that's the enforcement officer issue.
I think the zoning bylaws are a little fuzzy on that, so we could clear it up.
Okay. Number and not in public way. And the freestanding projecting signage.
Next year.
What's that?
Next year?
Next year? Okay.
Is that okay?
2027. Let's see, the next item I have is the Christian is to propose language on the number of stories of relief for houses in the FEMA AE zone. And I have two separate spreadsheets.
That's all I have.
What did I miss? I feel like there was one that I missed. There were two. Katie, when we went through the economic development items, we missed the uses, adding uses to the business districts. Was there anything else that we missed, or just that one? Okay, because I think increasing fines for the vacant storefront, that's not the zoning bylaw, that's the town bylaw. Okay, so we'll need to talk with the select board about that separately.
But you know hers, the one that she mentioned, which was animal daycare?
That's what I'd like to get back to. I omitted that one. That's my mistake. So that's one that the board should talk about, was the memo that Katie prepared for adding uses to the business district. And I believe that there were two sections to that. One was about animal daycare, and then the other one was about health and fitness clubs. And I have concerns about that one, given the way that those do not activate the storefront, the pedestrian way typically. So, Steve, what are your thoughts?
One of the things that I did was to cross-check the use additions and try to figure out how much parking did they need.
Yep.
And one of the funny things is that for health club and one of the other definitions, there are no uses associated. There's a definition, there's no use associated with it, but there is a parking requirement. My main request, or my main bit of feedback, is that try to square all three of those things: the definition, the use, and the parking requirements.
What is the parking requirement per square foot?
For health club, I don't know it offhand, but I could.
Never mind.
Yeah, don't know it offhand. It's probably one. It may or may not be one space per 300 square feet.
Okay.
Who knows?
That sounds like for a restaurant.
So we will look at the animal daycare use language at our meeting, at our next meeting, but not the health and fitness. Ken, unless you feel differently.
Nope.
Okay. All right. And I think that is it.
1, 2, 3.
So I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, if I take the 2 signage ones separately, 10,
And I
10.
have mine with 3 or 4, I just have to find them.
Okay. Oh, there were multiple under yours? Okay. So we have a minimum of 10.
10's a lot.
Could go up to 12. I mean, that is
10's quite
That's a lot.
We've done it before.
I know we have done before, but
Well, look on the bright side, it's down from 30.
All right, so that is what we will be moving forward with for language to review on our meeting next Monday. We will need to review and approve individually each of the proposed warrant. We will need to review and approve the language for each of the proposed warrant articles.
Not next Monday, the Monday after next. Right?
And then our next Monday meeting, yes, you were correct, in two Mondays. Thank you, Jean.
yeah, we'll get all the stuff beforehand to look at, or
It's going to be,
I just seem so tight.
it is very tight. Yes.
This is, for better or worse, this is how town government rolls.
Okay.
Okay, so that closes agenda item number 7, and our last agenda item is open forum. So would anyone like to speak this evening? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. Carl Wagner, Precinct 15, and I live on Edge Hill Road, a town meeting member. I was disappointed that the public, who have largely drifted away now, didn't get a chance to speak on some of the items, particularly the affordable housing overlay, and I'm not quite clear on whether you've decided to advance that for this year. I hope you will not, or at least if you are considering it, I hope you will reject it ultimately, because the real problem is that the public, again, for the second year in a row, were not included in the defining of what an affordable housing overlay would be in Arlington. And even at this point, if the Affordable Housing Overlay District Committee chooses to reach out to stakeholders such as financial and services and schools, the elderly, actual low-income people, of which there were none on the committee, there's not enough time between now and April. A real honest attempt to make affordable housing in such places needs to include stakeholders such as the people in this room, and even as we heard in the proposal for R6 up by the church and Route 2, fitting into the neighborhood is something that is incredibly important, and asking the town what we want. So I would ask you not to look favorably on the work of the AHOD committee until they include broad stakeholders in the decision process. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak this evening? Okay, with that, we will close public comment and
Rachel, there was one person.
I'm so sorry, I didn't see your hand, please.
Joanne Cullinane. I already introduced myself earlier, but I heard when you were talking about, possible changes or clarification in the multifamily overlay district, language of our bylaw. That's kind of something that obviously has been contentious at a lot of these meetings since the first project sought one of the bonuses, and now this is the second one. And so when I heard that you're thinking about proposing changes that would clarify that, it sounds to me like an acknowledgement that the current laws that we've passed do not allow excluding anything from the definition of ground floor at street level. And that trying to redefine that definition on the fly, as it seems has been happening, I don't mean to say that, in a disrespectful way, but it's still undefined, right? And so it sounds like that's an acknowledgement that redefining it so that there would be no minimum, because it's not clear what people get to extract from what they think is ground floor at street level. It sounds like redefining it that way would not be compatible with the laws that we currently have on the books. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else? All right, so now we'll close public comment. And to clarify, we will not be moving forward with the recommended zoning warrant article language for the Affordable Housing Overlay Committee. There has not been enough time for the board to work with the committee to get to a place where the board feels like it's ready to move forward. Yes.
Just regarding interpretation. So this is a general comment, but sometimes the different people can read a law and come up with different interpretations. This is the whole reason why we have a judicial system. And it's also one of the reasons why there are 5 of us and we make decisions based on a quorum. It's also the reason why any permitting decision we make is appealable, and a judge can go in and later and say agree or disagree. The fact that people will and not every court case where multiple judges are impaneled they don't always make unanimous decisions. We don't always make unanimous decisions. It's just that people have different perspectives and can read things in different ways. There's, it is kind of the system we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Any other, I know that we took new business previously. So at that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. This meeting is adjourned.